From Haiti, land of the voodoo, comes the most infamous cult of all. Bela Lugosi as Murder Legendre.
I see death.
Master of the undead damned. The sinister power behind the white zombie.
Zombies? Yes, they are my servants.
This soul killer takes men from their graves to be his slaves. His instruments of terror, and now this fiend plots to possess a woman.
Only a pin boy, a silver one, and a glass of wine, or perhaps a flower.
Keep it, monsieur. Keep it. You may change your mind.
Not dead? Are you mad? I saw her die. The doctor signed a certificate. I saw them bury her.
Captive in the borderland between life and death. Her brain drained of the life spark. The white zombie obeys the unholy commands of her demon master. As mindless creatures carry out his cursed will, terror explodes in horror and heartquake.
Zombie! Allez, allez!
Never eyes so evil, never powers so potent, never magic so black. Bela Dracula Lugosi as the master of the white zombie.
It's 12 o'clock.
Say goodbye, Jules. You never left me without saying goodbye.
No clues, no fingerprints, no motive, nothing.
But surely if a man was choked to death, there would be imprints on his throat.
Why in the world do you stay in this place? can't leave.
In the house, good evening, goblins and ghouls, and welcome to the Friday Night Scream Stream. I'm your host, Spakenstein, joined as always by my very good friends, Mr. Evan Sink.
Good evening.
And Mr. Fresh Rogan.
What the fuck is going on?
What the fuck is going on?
Somebody tell me what the fuck is going on.
I'll tell you what's going on. It's Friday. So give it up for Friday, first of all. We made it. Everybody made it.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first guest for the night, Friday.
Friday. Here he is. All right, why don't you have a seat, Friday?
Friday.
Friday is just like a party boy, just decked out, like big sunglasses, beer bong, 2 beer bongs, just get,
So he's Eric Andre's character from the ranch guy.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. He's just going around accosting people and harassing people and letting you know the obvious, basically.
Well, he's here. It's Friday.
It's Friday, and it's our season 4 finale tonight. So let's give it up for that. This is our 40th episode of the Scream Stream. So this is the end of 4 seasons, and when we come back, we will have been doing the Scream Stream for a year.
We're a whole year in.
A whole year in. Not quite as fresh-faced,
We've seen a lot of movies by this point.
You guys, both you and Fresh, y'all have probably seen movies that you never in a million years dreamed that you would ever find yourself watching for any other reason than I'm forcing you to here on the show.
Yeah, I'd say we've watched about 40 of those.
Yeah, about 40 at least, give or take. Technically over 40. We've been talking about this before the show. We've had some specials, so we've seen over 40 movies. But this is the big 4-0, and so we're doing it up right tonight. We are celebrating with probably my favorite public domain horror movie of all time, and it's purely for sentimental reasons. It's a bit of a controversial movie, whether you like it or not. People land on either side of the fence, but I just freaking love this movie. It's 1947's Scared to Death, starring Bela Lugosi. As always, we end our seasons here on the show with a Bela Lugosi movie, and I figure, what way to celebrate 1 year of live streaming public domain horror movies than with what's arguably my favorite. I would have said the Gorilla. I think I think you guys will enjoy this more than the Gorilla. That said, the Gorilla was our second movie of a double feature, so it was a little bit of a marathon episode.
Does this movie have a 3 Stooges analog?
I was actually thinking about that before the
Oh,
show
no.
because
Oh, no,
I was
please
trying to
don't
decide
say
if I would define it that way. Because I will say there is a lot of comic relief in this movie. This is a murder mystery. Lugosi plays a magician. It's kind of an old dark house movie, but kind of not. It's got an interesting framing device, but there is a lot of comic relief. So depending on where you fall on comic relief, but it's not just three brothers that are pretty much
falling over
each other and making the same joke three times. It's you've got some different personality types, and they all kind of bump up against each other in funny ways. So it's actually, that's what I think is interesting, and it's in color. Did I fail to mention that tonight's film is in color?
But it is silent. It is silent.
Oh yeah, caveat. It's this show. It's got to come with a caveat. It's in color, but it's silent. No. Luckily, we were able to dig up a soundtrack for this print, so we're good.
Have we seen a Lugosi film in color?
This is the only color movie that Bela Lugosi starred in. He had a bit part in a 1930 movie that was in color called Viennese Nights, and that was it. This is that and this. So this is a treat. This is definitely historical in some sense of the word, because it is his only color movie. So I cannot understate how much I freaking love this movie. And I think it's a great way to end season 4. And it being in color it's not traditional color, I'll say that. Everybody thinks of color and they just think, oh, it's either color or it's black and white. They had different processes back in the Hollywood era, and the main one was Technicolor, which most people are probably familiar with. Technicolor. Made in Technicolor. But they had cheaper versions that a lot of, Poverty Row studios, a lot of people use. So the color's a little weird with this. We'll talk about that later. Again, this is not quite a Poverty Row movie. This is actually kind of at the end of the cycle. It doesn't talk about this in my Poverty Row Horrors book. It doesn't have its own entry anyway. It ends like the year before this. This is actually the only horror movie that came out in 1947. They weren't really big into war movies, I think, post World War II, but or into horror movies. Did I say into war movies? Into horror movies post World War II.
Yeah, they had enough horror.
Well, yeah, they really did. So
give me something light.
Yeah, we need something light. But no, this actually does, of course, it's post-World War II, so they have to talk about World War II. So we'll get a little European intrigue mixed in here, all kinds of stuff. Not Poverty Row, but definitely super cheap. It's in one location. It's all the stuff that we know from Poverty Row, just not technically Poverty Row. And Lugosi, of course, the big presence. So it's going to be great. As always, Evan brings us a delicious cocktail to pair with the evening's film in a little segment which we call...
What were you drinking?
And what are we drinking tonight? And our last drink of season 4, what you got for us?
This week's drink is I believe an original. I'm calling it an original. I'm calling it the Green Mask. So I've never seen Scared to Death, but from what I understand, there's some kind of mask involved.
There is.
Cover, I think.
Yes, there is. Absolutely.
So this is it's a mix of 1 part absinthe to 2 parts green tea. So we've got some green ingredients. Very green tonight.
A very green drink tonight. Going green and going freaking like with a mind-melting drink, which is appropriate for this mind-melting movie that we're watching tonight. Because that's the other thing I will say. This plot is so convoluted, it doesn't make any sense. But that's part of the joy of this movie. I've been watching it for 20 years, over 20 years, and that is one of my favorite things, is trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. And so, but what I love about this drink is it's simple. Just like every cocktail.
As we've said this season, we're keeping it simple.
Right.
So I It's been a while. It's been a long time since I've had absinthe. How about you guys?
I've never had it.
Never had it.
Never had it.
I've never had it either.
Okay, so this will be a little bit of a treat.
New for me, for sure.
2 ingredients.
Sir.
And absinthe seems like the kind of thing that you probably don't want to mix too much with it anyway.
No, definitely not.
So we'll give this a shot.
Yes, we will.
So cheers, everyone.
Cheers to season 4.
Cheers to season 4.
Blink.
Ooh.
That's a strong flavor there.
That is a very strong
that's a
flavor.
sipper.
Yeah, that's a sipper for sure.
Yeah, I'm getting mostly absinthe, I think.
Mostly absinthe. I mean, green tea doesn't really have much of a taste, does it?
No, I guess not. It's pretty light. I mean, I was hoping that it'd be a little sweet. That might bring the absinthe up. Because,
yeah.
If you've never had absinthe before, there's a way that you're supposed to drink it, which whenever I went to the liquor store this week, the guy told me, I had to ask where it was because they have.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't.
Luckily, they had a bottle of absinthe there.
Just one.
Well, one variety anyway.
Oh, it's.
And the guy, he gave it to me and he said, okay, and there's instructions on there for how you're supposed to drink that. Okay.
he tried to, I mean, what do you call that when an employee is like, well, now let me tell you how you're supposed to, that there's instructions on this.
Right, yeah, he's the expert. He's giving you the expert advice.
And I'm sure, and yes,
he's gatekeeping the absinthe.
Yeah.
So did you follow the instructions?
Well, no, because I don't have a sugar. So
is that what it is? Because I saw in a lot of pictures, like
you dissolve a sugar cube over a glass of absinthe, and it
okay,
makes it drinkable. I guess I don't know.
Makes it drinkable.
You're just adding sugar, from what I can tell.
Yeah, it's definitely very strong. Very
strong.
I think it's perfect for this movie. Yeah. I think honestly, it's such a weird taste. I think it really.
It's weird. If you like black licorice, then you
I don't
like
even.
This one.
It's like a weird, because I mean, I think I would say if you like black licorice, definitely like last week's drink. I think you'd really like. This is like what do they say this is made, like wormwood or something? Like that's how
genuine wormwood.
That's what it tastes like to me. It tastes how you would think that, but judging by how that sounds.
Okay.
Wormwood. That is a perfect way to describe the taste of this absinthe.
Yeah, it tastes just like wormwood.
Just like wormwood. Bela Lugosi would have loved it, I'm sure. No, I saw. Did I tell you guys this? That when I looked up Bela Lugosi's favorite drink, it was apparently a Boilermaker.
Oh, really?
Which we've had basically a Boilermaker. We didn't really know it, but we knew it as the moonshot whenever we watched Moon of the Wolf, when we dropped the shot of whiskey.
Oh my god, that was his favorite
He likes
drink.
a shot of whiskey and a beer. Yeah, a shot of whiskey and a beer.
Okay, so was he dunking his shot
I
in
don't
his beer?
know. I didn't find that out. I don't know if it was just a mixture
or just separate.
or just separate. I don't know.
A beer and a shot.
Mm-hmm.
I just imagine him on set walking around with a bunch of shot glasses full of liquor, trying to drop them in and do the whole spectacle.
Spilling the shit everywhere.
Yeah.
That's foams up.
That's probably why he got less work after tonight's film in movies. They were like, we can't have you spilling beer all over the floors. You're going to start creating the safety hazard, Bela. We just can't. We can't enable you any further.
That's how you have to make it. You have to do it like this. It's not my fault.
It's right.
That's what it says on the Twitter.
He's a man of integrity. That's that's Bela Lugosi, and we're celebrating him as we do with every season finale, and so this is definitely a movie where he's having a lot of fun. This is a fun performance from Lugosi. He's just kind of. he's just making a nuisance of himself, an eerie nuisance of himself. And so this is, you know, I think for his only color movie, I think it's gonna check a lot of boxes, and it's just so weird. It's just such a weird movie. So weird movie, weird cocktail. It's all lining up perfectly. Yeah, no, well, it's a sipper though. You're right.
It is, yeah. We're gonna sip on that.
Gonna sip on that. And you know, again, so this is, like you said, you made this drink up and you gave it the name The Green Mask because you read in the plot of the movie about a green mask, right? So a green mask features very prominently in this film. You will see it in the opening credits. But the thing is, and this is where we get into the very first caveat of the movie before we even start. I had to go ahead and fill you guys in on this.
Let me make one thing very clear.
So we're not spending 2 minutes on it during the setup of the movie. So Cinecolor is the color process that this was shot in. So it's a much cheaper version of Technicolor. It's Cinecolor, right? Okay. And on the posters, you'll see that they say this movie was shot in natural color. That's how they would advertise it. Movies that were shot in Cinecolor, shot in natural color. But it's Cinecolor, and what Cinecolor is a two-strip color process where it just uses red and blue. And it makes up all the colors using different. So
we couldn't do green.
So green doesn't show up at all in Cinecolor. But green is incredibly pivotal to multiple plot points in this movie. The green mask, a green scarf.
So wait a second. So the green mask on the cover of this movie, it's not green in the movie?
They're calling it green. All the characters are talking about a green mask, but it looks blue. Okay, because of the wonders of Cinecolor have rendered it blue. And
they've rendered it colorblind, it sounds like.
Yeah, pretty much. You've eliminated a whole color from the equation. No greens.
Now I see why it's cheaper.
Exactly. Exactly.
Look, if you want all the colors, you gotta pony up.
The big bucks, the real big bucks, and they did not have it. This was a little studio that ended up making like 6 movies, and this was like the last one. I mean, it was shot in early 1946, and it wasn't released until early 1947. I mean, it was like shelved for a whole year. So this movie really. It's so weird that it's Lugosi's only color movie. It kind of came out of nowhere, and it's really a one-off weird thing. So
it sounds like it's kind of his only color movie.
Yeah,
it's 2/3 of a color movie.
Yeah, yes, exactly. That's the caveat. So I wanted to put that out there before we watch the movie.
You, Garrett, because I for sure would have
been very like, what the fuck? Yeah, the whole time, every time you see it, it's gonna look blue. But I assure you, it's green. It's green. It just Cinecolor. So but this movie, I first watched it when I was 7 years old, and I loved it since then. I mean, it probably like one of the top moments of my childhood. Like, I had some money from doing chores. We went to some store on a Friday, and they had this movie there super cheap. So I had the VHS, but I don't have the case. I don't know what happened to the case, but I was able to luckily find a picture of, what the case looks like. But that was like the only picture I could find of it. I couldn't even find this version of it for sale.
So when you bought this thing, were you fully on the like classic cinema bandwagon, or was it just, hey, I like the cover?
Fully on the. Okay. I mean,
so you saw Bela Lugosi. I gotta pick that.
Bela Lugosi and in color. So yeah, it was like, I have to have this.
You were a 7-year-old like classic film connoisseur.
Yes, I was a 7-year. I was a film nerd then, and I'm a film nerd now. And my love for this movie is still the same. I mean, I bought this movie. We went home, ordered Domino's. I had some Coca-Cola, and we sat down in the living room. Which is, in this time, everybody just sit down in the living room. We watched this movie. It was like kind of a
nice.
big deal. Yeah. So it was like, and I don't remember what anybody said about it. And I told Evan this before the show fresh. I said, I've like seeing this when I was 7, I basically have excused all the plot holes and all the things that people watch this movie. They're like, what the fuck is the deal with this? Like, why is this? What's going on here? My mind is just like taken so long to start to realize, oh yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But it's just, there's so much to get lost in this movie that it doesn't really matter. It's just a lot of fun. And it is the comfort movie for me. It is the movie that I come back to over and over and over again. So I'm super, super excited to share this with everybody tonight for our last film of season 4. So I hope you guys are ready. I hope you're strapped in. I hope you're ready for a mind melter. I've said Lugosi's a magician. I don't know what else I could say about the movie without spoiling anything. I certainly don't want to do that. I don't want to spoil the plot.
Don't spoil it.
I don't want to spoil anything, but what do you guys,
Is
bespoke clothing, all 100% insect leather.
Sylarn's in the house. I have Spakenstein's permission to push the line of handmade bespoke clothing, all insect leather. Yeah, I forgot about the insect leather.
That was a good bit.
Wait, when was that? Was that for our Flash Gordon finale? When was that?
It was one of the Wednesday ones.
One of the Wednesday ones. Man. Yeah, and not to derail before we get into the movie, but yeah, Flash Gordon, that was a whole thing that ended this week.
R.I.P. Ming.
R.I.P. Ming. Yeah, pretty sure he's dead.
Yes, spoiler alert.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a big spoiler, but it
was a surprise.
It was definitely a surprise.
They murdered that guy.
Yeah, I didn't really expect. I actually remember I said that I had read that Ming got away, and he didn't get away. So I don't really know what that was about. Yes, men's blazer 40%, soldier ant leather. Now you got to tell me that isn't a painstaking thing to harvest. A very intricate process, I would imagine.
Yeah, $150 sounds pretty cheap.
Well, I mean, yeah, Sylarn, you're working with discount prices over here.
You're getting
yeah. That's what Sylarn. I should have known Sylarn was getting into the drop shipping business. How
can we get a mod in this chat? Somebody's spamming.
Yeah, we should have known. Eventually, Sylarn would get around to getting roped into some multi-level marketing scheme. It wasn't gonna take
selling insect leather.
I said a few months ago. Mark my words. We won't go a full year of this show without Sylarn trying to turn this into his drop shipping infomercial stream. We're not doing it. We refuse to do it.
I fixed it.
You fixed it? What did you fix?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Sylarn's spam. Yeah, we're good.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thanks for taking care of that, Fresh. All right, that's awesome. All right. Well, I think if you boys are ready, or I guess it's Fresh if you have it queued up.
I do.
All right, and we're going to get into the exciting beginning of Scared to Death, starring Bela Lugosi, right now. So There you go.
Okay.
There's our Cinecolor green.
So is everything blue in this movie is it supposed to be green? Or
I started thinking about that
blue
today.
things supposed to be blue.
Today I started looking at other things that I used to think were blue, and I'm like, wait, is that just supposed to be a shade of green? Couldn't figure it out, which is sad. That is the
cheap asses can't even afford the third color.
Can't even afford green. That's what money is. Green. What are you doing? You're gonna spend money on this color process, and you're not even.
Why would they have? If they knew that green wasn't gonna show up in their movie, why did they make the mask green?
That is a great question.
Why didn't they make it a color that they could show? That would show up in the movie?
I don't know. Maybe they didn't know. Also, by the way, Christy is a guy. Now, don't get excited, is what an article that I read said. It's a guy. Don't get excited. So this is the framing device of the movie, and you guys will see why it's kind of rare.
Is this the body? Yes, Doctor. And the police are particularly anxious that the cause of death be determined at the earliest possible moment.
It's a pity. She was a very beautiful woman. One hates to perform an autopsy on a beautiful woman.
But you've no other choice, Doctor.
Most unusual.
A lot of the dialogue's not gonna make sense. Enjoy it. Have fun with it. Don't take it too seriously. I should have said that.
Authorities are entirely at sea as to how she was killed. They know why, and they also have the fellow who killed her.
Yes, that doesn't matter. That's none of our business. Our business is to find out what killed her. And yet, one often wonders, what could have caused the last thought that was cut off by death? If it was spoken now, what would it be?
Yes, you're here. You found me at last. But you know if you kill me, I warn you. Don't come and outstep. No, don't, please. Don't. No, I told you I didn't want the bandage.
Bang.
Why, Laura?
What?
Why are you so opposed to the bandage? Does it remind you of something, perhaps?
What do you mean?
Very good, Cylon.
Nothing. Now, won't you lie down again and let me complete the examination? You're a sick girl.
So this is George Zucco. If he looks familiar to you guys, he was in The Mad Monster and Dead Men Walk and Fog Island.
You don't fool me for a minute, Doctor. I know how you feel about me.
Do you, Laura? Then I wish you'd tell me, for I don't know. I don't know how I feel about you at all.
You're clever, Doctor. But I'm wise to you and that fool of a son of yours.
How long have you been married to Ward now?
Too long.
And why don't you give him his divorce? He's asked you often enough.
I'll give him a divorce when I'm good and ready.
I see.
I'm not afraid of anything he can do, or you, or anyone else. What's that?
Your heart's beating like a trip hammer. I must warn you that this high state of nervous tension...
What's that noise?
Oh no.
It's just the wind.
Oh, God damn internet. Yeah, just the wind.
Now, my dear Laura,
glitching now?
No, you're back.
If you want me to help you, you must tell me what it is you fear.
I told you I'm not afraid of anything. I know what's going on here. Someone's trying to scare me out.
Melancholy and hysteria.
Yes.
Yes, Large. She just needs more cigarettes.
Yeah, that's right.
Laura, I must ask you not to cause Father any more trouble. I don't want you threatening him, you hear?
You too. You're so cute. I'm sure you want to be alone.
You're not going to make him pay for my mistake.
What are you going to do about it?
I'd like to.
You'd like to choke me, wouldn't you, Ward?
Why I oughta. This ain't the honeymooners now. This isn't.
Yeah. This is the only thing you ever gave me.
You know.
You can have it back.
You can have it back.
She's right.
You bitch.
I gave her this when we were married. It's the only gift.
Petunia. Yeah.
Ward, what do you propose to do about it?
What?
What
They
can
were
I do?
married and
She
that
won't
was the
leave me. She
only
won't give me a
gift that ever
divorce.
passed between them.
Yeah. Some husband.
What is the matter with her?
I don't know why she wouldn't want to get a divorce from this guy.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, exactly.
This way until she began getting those letters from abroad, you remember?
She's holding out for more
It had
gifts.
something to do with those letters. But you would have thought that when they stopped
She's waiting
coming,
for the big like payload of gifts to just start rolling in.
Patient doctor.
Yeah, that's how it works. 10 years in is when you really start getting the roses.
She's decked out like she's going to a horse show.
I can't see anyone today. Ask her to make another appointment. Dad, please don't let what's happening interfere with your practice.
What are
Very
these
well, sir. In a few
cutaways?
minutes.
Sure, doctor. Oh, yeah, that Bill Raymond's waiting. Do you want to see him?
Who's he?
That private cop who's always hanging around just hoping
What
somebody
are
gets
these
murdered.
Oh, yes, he's probably come for his check. Take care of
Oh
it. Will you
man,
want-
just wait. You haven't even gotten into the.
A little bit.
It cuts away and they're just standing by the door.
Gee.
No
Thanks,
business,
Mr.
no
Williams.
action.
But this belongs to Mrs. Van E, doesn't it?
Not anymore. It's all yours.
She won't get sore, will she? I don't want to have any trouble with her. You know how she is.
I know. We all know a little bit. And I want to thank you for your patience. Run along now.
I know.
Yes, doctor.
You know, we know.
You made a fatal mistake, my boy, in marrying
Fatal?
Laura. Yes, I know. You don't
I
suppose
should
it'll
know,
stand
I'm a
for
doctor.
forever, do you? No, I don't. And I don't think it will be necessary. Do you have a plan? I think it'll be better if you leave everything to me.
From the day a mysterious caller came to see Dr. Van E.
If you love that,
Oh, yes, I
prepare to
didn't
get
announce it,
sick
Williams.
of
I spoke
it.
to you this morning on the telephone. I'm sorry, but I can't tell you any more now than I told you then.
Oh, naturally, Doctor. I did not mean to imply that there were any abnormal goings-on here.
I assure you that is not, Mrs. Williams, nor will there be.
Nevertheless, Doctor, the way you were described to me and the way your place was described to me, I am certain that I am in the right place.
May I ask from whom you obtained these descriptions?
From a friend, Doctor. A mutual friend.
Lilybeth, the woman I love. Can't we be friends?
Stop tracking your big flat feet after me wherever I go. I've got things to do.
So here's
Oh,
our
gee, it's wonderful
two
just to see
stooges.
you around, busying yourself,
Two
the little
stooges.
housewife.
I never knew the cop who didn't love to stand around and watch other people work.
Mrs. Williams, it's obvious from your conversation that you've come into possession of certain facts concerning my past. I know of only one person who could have given you that information.
Who is
This
to
was my
say?
belief, yes, even my hope. That person was dead. But let me say that even if that person were alive, I should not submit to blackmail from you or from anyone else.
You show great courage, Doctor, for one in your unusual position. There has been no question of blackmail. I came here seeking your cooperation, which you have refused to
The
give.
heads are still
so,
on those furs.
let's call the matter closed.
Well, you know, that's how you know that it's the real deal. You see the lifeless eyes of the thing. You know it's not a mock fur, it's the real deal.
Yeah, this isn't a faux fur. This is real shit. This ain't no middle of the mall shit. Oh my fucking god.
So the whole movie is narrated by this body on the slab in the morgue, which
But
is
it
a
has to
cool
cut.
plot device.
It is cool, but
It'll get very old with that music cue.
If you had waited another second, Inigo and I should have kicked the door in.
Yes, sir.
I forgot to say that Lugosi has a dwarf companion in this film. Angelo Rosito is the name of the actor.
Immediately offends my deepest nature. There's some things suggesting Scotland Yard.
I love that
French
choice
Sute,
because Lugosi's
the
already
Italian
like super tall.
Carabinieri, the
Right.
Turkish Polizei.
Well, and it makes him like a Dr. Evil type. You gotta have a mini-me, right?
I think you're a cop.
Yeah, how'd you know?
And he's wearing a Dracula cape. If
I'm in the home of Dr. Joseph Van E.
Yes,
And
sir.
the Colonel Sanders
I mean,
tie.
I never realized that until I started seeing people write that like in things this week. I was reading, I was like,
We got a nice
I never
trailer
noticed
yard.
it was a Colonel
They
Sanders
got no
tie.
coconuts.
Meet you
Is he also mute?
Yeah.
My little friend Inigo is deaf and dumb. He cannot hear and he cannot speak.
It's like Penn and Teller.
Read your lips. And I would advise you to say nothing to annoy him. For his temper is short, indeed. This, I presume, is Dr. Benny's private office.
Yes, sir. But I really should announce you.
Yeah, right, Sylar. That would have been
I allowed myself to be announced.
the Ed Wood
I
prequel.
will be received anywhere.
I'm sorry, really I am, but the doctor won't see anybody without an appointment.
I have had an appointment with him these 20 years.
Look at the way he holds that case. I love it.
My dear doctor.
Oh, it's great, Sylar. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, it's your Heineken Zero.
So it is you, Leonard. I was warned you might appear like one of your own illusions out of nowhere.
My dear Joseph, you have not changed a bit.
Have you met my friend, Mr. Raymond?
Raymond? Oh, Raymond. No doubt a relative of the great
Mr.
magician of the same name.
Just call me Ray.
Mr. Raymond is our private patrol officer.
Call me Mr. Ray.
He keeps an eye on the premises for us. And other comings and goings.
A very good idea, my dear Joseph. You have a private bodyguard.
Why is he squinting so hard?
The lights it takes for the Cinecolor. They're so bright. Do I have to wear this cape?
Well, then maybe you'd like to be alone to talk over old times.
A very good suggestion. Thank you, Mr. Raymond.
I won't be far away, Doc.
There's something
Well,
about that
so
guy's
long, Mr.
face.
Leonide.
I don't know if it's
Don't
like
pull
the
any more
makeup
little
or
men
something,
out of your hat.
but his face looks like fake.
He was actually an Olympic wrestler, silver medal winner. So he probably got his face roughed up enough times that under all that makeup, his face just busted to bits.
You with your foreign background and I, what are we two in common?
Always truthful, Cousin Joseph. As when we were young men. You might have said no and saved your career. But you prefer to tell the truth and ruin yourself.
What do you want here, Leonard?
A few days' hospitality, my dear Joseph. Nothing more. Is that too much for one cousin to ask of another?
Remember, we agreed not to think of each other as cousins again, Leonard.
Bygones, my dear Joseph. And I'm willing to forget. And I suggest that you do the same.
You've grown older, Leonard, but there may be something in what you say. I don't want to hold a grudge, but don't do anything that will make me regret my action.
You have my promise. Now, if you will show me to my room. Oh, I should say, I have a traveling companion from whom I am inseparable.
Who?
Inigo, a dwarf, one of the little men. He became very much attached to me when he lost his master. You do not object.
What good would that do?
How true.
Very well.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to have Bela Lugosi as a house guest.
I know you like that.
Oh, yes.
Creeping around
The
corners.
lady, who I am told has an utmost horror of having your eyes blindfolded.
Wearing his hat inside.
Encouraging, I dare say. Something to think about.
That night, my husband questioned me about my past.
He's got a Robert De Niro thing going on. That's the, that's just what happened to actors when they get older. They just squint really hard. Zucco's squinting too, but his Coke bottle glasses, you can't tell.
What are you doing here? A chance visit, my boy. I wanted to see the old homestead again. You've seen Father? Yes, and he received me with open arms, in a manner of speaking.
I don't mind telling you, you came at a very bad time. We're having some trouble.
My boy, Trouble and I are like this. I presume you refer to the charming lady in the room next to mine.
Yeah, but I spent a lot of time in the principal's office at school.
But I'm looking forward to the pleasure.
I'm familiar with Trouble.
I'd like to talk to you for a moment. All right. Perhaps you can help us. By doing what, my boy? You've been everywhere. You were caught in Europe during the war. I'd like to show you something.
Caught in Europe during the war. You don't want to know what that means.
Dance team called Renee and Lorette? I don't think so, my boy. And then again, must have been such a team. Look. Renee and Lorette. The dance of the green mask in the green room in Paris. Green room. The face of the man does seem slightly familiar. May I ask, where you got this photograph? The maid, Lilibet, found it in Laura's room and turned it over to me. Oh, well, my boy, I'm afraid I can't help you. I played the green room on several occasions, but never with these people. In fact, I don't seem to remember them at all. And I appeared in many clubs during the occupation. I'm sure the girl behind the green mask in this picture is Laura. How can you be sure? Who can ever be sure what's behind a mask? If the people in this photograph could suddenly come to life, I'd like to know who the man is.
Okay.
It can be anyone, my friend.
Eyebrows.
Anyone. In this
man, well manicured eyebrows.
I wish you wouldn't joke
That's
about it.
half of a horror actor's power is on their eyebrows.
And let us say you found out who the man in the photograph is. What then? I have an idea that if the man in this picture were to show up, I'd find out I wasn't married to Laura at all. Think over what I've asked you. It'll be to your advantage. Certainly, my boy. I will give it every consideration, and perhaps something will occur. Who knows? Don't you want to leave the photograph with me for my further study?
That's what's at fresh. You just like all this random jump cutting to, you know,
no thanks.
Nothing happening, but incredible music cues. Ba ba ba. Every 2 minutes.
It's like Family Guy. There's lots of great music alongside nothing happening.
Essentially.
Lorette. I'll make a bet the man in green will get you yet.
It really is cool to see Lugosi in color, I gotta say. In color minus green.
Yeah. In almost color.
It's natural color.
Natural.
You know,
natural color.
How there's no green.
A gruesome surprise was in store for me the following morning.
Every time they cut, she gives like one line.
Yeah, that's it. Don't you love all that all that plot?
Who is it?
It's me, ma'am.
It takes like 5 seconds to cut to her for her to talk for 2 seconds.
Yeah, it does. Just a quick, you know, nothing too hefty. She's a corpse, okay? She isn't gonna say a lot.
What's in it?
I don't know. It's against postal regulations to open other people's mail.
That's never stopped you before.
I'd like to know what you mean by that remark, ma'am.
Oh, shut up and get out.
Don't you want me to help you open it?
No, I don't. Get out.
It's addressed to you in green ink with a warning. Look out for the man with the green mask.
And I'm just closing the door on you. Okay, bye. Shutting you out, shutting you out, shutting you out. See, I was trying to figure out earlier today, is her dress, you think it's blue or you think it's a shade of green? I don't know.
We're not going to argue over the color of a dress again.
This is not 2019, all right? Let's get... That was probably longer ago than that. That was forever ago. And that paper is supposed to be green. I mean, it's a very...
Kind of green.
Kind of green.
Kind of green.
To the rescue, ma'am. Who Who done it? Which way did he go?
What's going on in here?
I just heard you yell. I was hoping.
Let me at him. Let me at him.
Get out. I tell you, you have no business here.
Well, but you don't understand.
That's what one of the reviews I read
That's what
said.
I'm being paid for.
Paid?
Yeah. You see, I'm Bill Raymond, private cop in this neck of the woods. I was hoping we'd have a little murder or something happen around here so as I could solve it and get my old job back at Sentinel Homicide.
Hoping one of you guys
Nothing
dies
personal,
so I can...
Wait, why did he lose his job at Central?
Nobody
You'll
said
find out.
nothing to me. I was just waiting around outside to see Dr. Van E, and I heard you yell.
So you're a friend of that crazy doctor and his son.
Crazy? I
Oh,
wouldn't
your
exactly
husband
say
and
that,
father-in-law?
Doc's a pretty good egg. You wouldn't want anyone to say you was crazy, even if you...
You can go back and tell him I'm not afraid of being murdered by you or them or anyone else.
No, I don't guess you are, ma'am. Still and all, if you was to get murdered and I was to find out who done it, it'd be kind of a break for me.
That don't beast the kosho.
I wouldn't say that to you, lady, even if I knew what it meant.
Now will you get out?
All right. I can take a hint. Nice little bedroom companion you've got there.
Get out.
I'll go.
Aiming a gun at him. He's like, I can take a hint.
I'll know it's a fake.
And that is going to take us to our first break. So that's the first third of Scared to Death. What do we think so far?
It feels like we've covered a lot of ground. I'm not sure if I've absorbed everything that's...
And you can't. It's like...
very fast.
It's very fast. It's almost like Clue level plot convolution that you have to try to sort through here. And there's no way... I'll try, once we watch the whole thing, to make sense of it if I can. But because I've certainly tried to, like, as many times as I've watched it, I've tried to like make as many things make logical sense as possible, but it's very hard with this movie because there's just so much going on. But I think that they knew what they were doing with this movie. I mean, it's obviously no shortage of comic relief, you know. Yeah. There's been a lot of wisecracks and a lot of why I oughtas, and you know, it's
fun.
But a lot of intrigue. Yeah, you got Lugosi kind of preening around, you know, being his eerie self, and you know,
I mean, the framing of the story is pretty interesting. I don't think I've seen anything like that.
Right. So the whole idea of the story being narrated by a dead body, this is definitely one of the first times that was ever done. It was done more famously 3 years after this was released in 1950, a movie called Sunset Boulevard. It's narrated by a corpse in a pool. And that's the whole story is framed around this narration. And I think
Great Gatsby.
Yeah. I mean, it's everything's just trying to be Great Gatsby, right? That's why they had us learn about it in English. This is going to be controversial. I don't mean to ruffle any feathers here. I wasn't really a big fan of that book.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't like Great Gatsby.
I just didn't get the big deal. To me, it just wasn't that. I didn't understand why this book is so revered. I just like everything, like when you get like you're trying to figure out the whole book, like, all right, well, what's Gatsby about? What's going on? I don't like. And then when you get all the revelations, you're like, oh yeah, here's all this backstory stuff happened in his life, and it's like, I don't know, man. It's just not for me. Oh no, I'm S-Sync. Now you chime in. When I say, I cannot believe you're going to chime in now when I bring up The Great Gatsby. If you want to come on the show and you want to make a case as to why The Great Gatsby should be upheld as a landmark piece of literature, then yes, we are in 10.
We are taking callers.
Evan, you gotta yield your mic. You gotta yield your time, and I'll give you the time, S-Sync. So
Garrett, if you were in charge of our high school English class, would the assigned reading just be movies?
Oh yeah, oh without a doubt. It basically already was To Kill a Mockingbird. Did we read The Crucible in there? We know Scarlet Letter. That's what we read in there. All just movies. Who needs to read, right? S-Sync? Who likes reading? Nobody likes reading.
Yeah, reading's so lame. It's all these pages and everything. It's like, I'm gonna just watch the movie.
Come on. That's what we're a movie. That's what we're about here.
I didn't even read any of the Harry Potter books. I waited until the video game came out.
Oh my God, that's the best thing I've ever heard. Yeah, well, if you didn't like that, S-Sync, you definitely weren't gonna like my next politically incorrect statement that I was gonna make, which was to talk about how tonight's movie is actually somewhat based on true events, which we haven't. I don't think we've really had movies like that on the stream. We've had, The Veil and One Step Beyond claimed that these were real stories. Certainly claimed that. The veracity of those statements, I did not verify. And if I had to guess, it's a lot of bullshit. Urban legends more than anything else. But this was very much based on a real murder case. So the source material for this movie was a play called Murder on the Operating Table, and the guy who wrote the play, Frank Orsino, also wrote the movie, but for some reason the movie he's credited as Walter Abbott. I don't know, he had all these different pen names for the play and the movie and everything. And no, I don't. I'm not a book burner. That's not.
That's what I heard.
No.
I got out of that.
No.
You like book burning.
I'm not that anti-book. Now, come on. Let's not. We'll burn movies too. If we're burning books, we'll burn movies. Burn it all. Just burn it all. Digital. Just go digital, baby. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
just burn it onto a DVD so that you can watch it later.
Right. I don't want to piss off any of my physical media heads out there. I don't want to make anybody upset about that. But yeah, so the real case that play in the movie is based on was in 1933, this doctor named Dr. Alice Winnicoop was tried and convicted for murdering her daughter-in-law, who was found on the operating table of Alice's office, which was located in the basement of the house where Alice lived with her son and her daughter-in-law. They all lived in this house. And she was Alice was, again, this is what I was going to say, the politically incorrect thing, what they would call at the time, as we saw in a movie trailer a couple weeks ago, a lady doctor. Remember, we saw Mary Stevens, MD, the trailer, lady doctor, the parlance of the times. That's just what but so Dr. Alice Winnicoop was a famous lady doctor, prominent. They were a prominent family in Chicago. So they lived in this big house. The son was away. The daughter was found on the operating table. She had been chloroformed and she was shot in the stomach.
Jesus.
And I think Dr. Winnicoop claimed that someone broke in her house and did it, but eventually the story came out. What Alice confessed later was that she was giving her daughter-in-law some kind of examination and gave her chloroform, and somehow the chloroform caused her heart to stop. And so to cover up her medical mistake, she decided to shoot her in the stomach.
That's not better.
And say that it was like a break-in. And,
oh my God.
Well, to be fair, why would you chloroform someone just to shoot them in the stomach? It's probably true.
Well, the other line was that her son actually did it, that he was actually wasn't actually out of town, and that the mother took the rap for him because she was obsessed with her son, or had a lot of the papers kind of made a deal of her having a fascination with her son, and that she would have done anything for him, including kill his wife, who, you know, apparently the marriage wasn't good, and so this whole play, Murder on the Operating Table, came out of this murder case, and
so out of this tragedy came
a play, which, you know, this play was apparently pretty gory and had a body count of 4. And the doctor character that George Zucco's playing was a woman in the play. In this movie, they changed it to a guy, and it's George Zucco. So,
does the doctor kill all 4 people?
I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of information out there on the play. And so I'm not quite sure how it plays out, but I got this information from some reviews at the time, and it's wild. Like, I was like, oh, okay, 4 bodies. Like, yeah, like, who's killing who and what's up? Because that's definitely not how this movie's going to play out, just to unfortunately burst your bubble. Don't expect the bodies to pile up.
We've got our body.
We have it. Yeah, we already have our body. You already know.
That's the whole thing.
You already know. And you already kind of know how she's going to die. Hence the title. Don't worry. It'll be just like Flash Gordon Conquers the Universe. They'll work their way up to the very literal sense of communicating the title. Yeah, it'll make sense. Don't worry. So we're gonna go into this break. We're going to get actually 3 Bela Lugosi trailers, because they're all kind of short. Movies that Lugosi did before tonight's film. We've got 2 of these trailers are for movies that he was also paired up with Angelo Rosito, the actor who's playing the dwarf. They had been in 2 other movies together before this, where he's basically kind of, you know, the same thing, Lugosi's henchman. So this is, you know, kind of became a thing to...
So this guy got typecast as Bela Lugosi's henchman?
Yeah, believe it or not, this is the 3rd movie that it happened. And so we're going to see the trailers for the other 2. One's a horror comedy that Lugosi did, which I guess we'll get to watch on the show, but it's the Bowery Boys, or I don't know what they called themselves at the time. It's this comedic group. I haven't seen it, but I imagine if you guys didn't like the Gorilla, you're not gonna like Ghosts on the Loose. But so that's one pairing, and then the other pairing was in The Corpse Vanishes, which we haven't seen. We will see. That's a really good Lugosi Poverty Row monogram movie that we haven't gotten to yet. That'll be a lot of fun. And the 3rd trailer is for The Body Snatcher, which Lugosi did at RKO before this, with Boris Karloff. Boris Karloff's kind of the star, and despite what the trailer shows you, Bela Lugosi's only in it for like 9 minutes. He's not even in it for very long, but the trailer kind of like bills him second, like it's a great pairing that they have. And they share an incredible scene together. But that's it. It's not like
even back then the trailer just shows all the good parts of the movie.
Pretty much, yeah. That's, you know, well, yeah, that trailer does too. Yeah, it hasn't changed. I was thinking, I watched some new trailers recently. It was like, I feel like I know the whole movie. I feel like I know exactly. So it's just always been the way that the movie trailers go, and these old Bela Lugosi trailers are no different. So we're gonna enjoy these trailers. And then when we come back, we're going to get into the exciting middle of Scared to Death. So stick around. We'll be right back.
The City of the Dead. Hey, you! What are you doing here? Now you see him. Now you don't. Hold your breath and save your laughs when Bela Lugosi, that master of horror, meets those gloom-busting East Side kids. Even a respectable ghost gets a nervous breakdown.
says here that in the night he prowls about seeking new victims. And in the daytime he sleeps in a coffin.
Well, let's wait till daytime, huh?
We ain't waiting for nothing. We're going right now. Go ahead, open it. Oh, you open it. Maybe it ain't supposed to be open till Christmas.
Who are you? You don't remember me. But 20 years ago in this very house, you scared the health out of me. No!
Honor and obey, until death do you part.
I do. Oh!
Shall I telephone for the ambulance?
No. The undertaker. She's dead.
Mysterious murder strikes at the altar, and the maniac monster creeps from his domicile of death to claim the lifeless form of his latest bride. Police baffled, a public in terror, but nothing can stop this fiend on his hideous trail except a girl reporter who wages a brave, foolhardy fight against the blackest art this side of the grave.
Why have you a mausoleum in the basement? All those dead girls and that horrible dead creature.
My dear, you must have had a bad dream.
Now look, Professor, this was no dream. You wanted to see me, Reverend?
Together. You mean we would sell the bodies to the doctors together? To dig them up? There'll be no digging. The kirkyards are too well guarded. We will, so to speak, burk them.
Ray killed her. We can't be sure of that. I'm sure, and I mean to report it. It's like Burke and Hare all over again.
That is...
Grave robbing is one thing, but this is murder.
You ordered this subject, received it here and paid for it. That makes you a party to murder.
You must leave this house. I can't do that. You heard McFarlane.
Save yourself, Master Fetters. Look at McFarlane.
Gray, I must be rid of you. You become a cancer, a malignant, evil cancer, rotting my mind.
You'll never get rid of me, Tony.
Packed to the brim with mystery and suspense. Yeah, so the Body Snatchers is actually a fun movie, and even though there's not a lot of Lugosi in it, it's a quality movie. The guy who made that movie, Val Lewton, made a whole bunch of movies, a lot with Karloff, actually. I think that was the only one he had Lugosi in. But he made a lot of like psychological horror movies in the 40s before that was like a big thing. And it's weird because tonight's movie, in the press book for it actually bills itself as a psychological horror movie, which is actually...
Do you think it is?
I never thought of it that way, but it's kind of wild to me because that's not like... It wasn't really a term that was used very much at the time. Like even with Val Lewton's movies, I don't know if at the time they billed themselves as psychological horror movies, but this was billing itself as psychological horror. So it kind of is, but it's all over the place. It's got so much going on. And it's, you know, I mean, I think that it a lot of stuff it's just doing just to fuck with you. You know, the whole idea of Lugosi having this dwarf companion, I mean, it's really just all like a magic trick. It's just
misdirection.
It's misdirection, and you know that's really all Angelo Rosito's here for. And but he's so
your character,
you don't have to talk. You're deaf and dumb.
What's my motivation? You're here to distract the audience.
That's all we need you to do. Can you do it, Angelo? And I mean, he does a pretty good job of this movie with not having a lot to do. But I mean, this guy, Angelo Rosito, had a 60-year career in Hollywood. He started in the 20s, and he was kind of most famously in Freaks. He was acting all the way up to the 80s. He was in Mad Max Thunderdome. He plays a character called the Master, which is like, he's a prominent character in the movie. And it's kind of, I remember seeing a bit of it on the movie, or a bit of it on the TV one time, like years ago, and I saw Angelo Rosito, and I recognized him as like the guy from this movie and Freaks and everything else. I'm like, what the fuck? That cannot be him. There's no way he's in Mad Max Thunderdome. And sure enough, Angelo Rosito's in Mad Max Thunderdome. So
a bit of it on the TV.
A bit of it on the tube, on the old tube.
Jesus Christ.
If I'm not already dating myself enough by showing a movie from 1947 that doesn't have the color green in it, then I don't know how much more I could come off like an old head. But that's
20th century man.
Real 20th. Yeah. Oh God, you're telling me. So I don't know. It's funny. Angelo Rosito's in some great movies, but he's in this. Lugosi's in some great movies. He's in this. They really got yes, Fresh, a bit on the TV. Yes, go ahead and chastise me for that. I didn't say television. Like that too. Television. Television. Turn into Rihanna.
No.
Super Bowl this weekend. I hope everybody's ready. Is it this weekend?
It is this weekend.
It is.
She's doing the halftime show. So it's gonna be a big deal. But yes, so we're going to get into the exciting middle. Yeah, totally unrelated from the Super Bowl. Yeah, wow. We're going to get into a super movie. We're going to get into... Yeah. Do you like that segue?
Super movie.
Super movie.
Movie in natural color.
In natural color. Yeah, I mean, if you're not already loving all the blues and the reds and the different shades of blues and reds, then, I don't know what to talk. If you're not enjoying the music cue every time that we cut back and forth from the 10 seconds in total it takes to go back and forth to and from the morgue.
For one line of narration.
Right. Yeah, for one line. A lot of work. Hey, the payoff. There's plenty of payoff. Don't discount it now.
It's gonna turn out she wasn't dead this whole time. She's just faking it and thinking to herself. She's trying to get the story straight, and then she jumps up off of the slab.
I gotcha. Yeah, that honestly.
And then she kills the coroner for some reason.
Ooh, now that would have been
that's a twist.
That would have been a twist.
She had no reason to do that.
No, she didn't. But I will say, we'll once we start learning the hidden history of Laura, which is
the coroner.
Yeah, we don't want to know what shady shit this coroners probably don't have the best track record. Not to I'm not saying anything bad about coroners, but
we're
it's
not trying to call them cretins.
No,
that,
not at all. But it's certainly an interesting line of work. Yeah. All right, well, I think Fresh, if you have it queued up. All right, then we're going to get into the exciting middle of Scared to Death right now.
I became afraid and my mind started to crack.
Oh my god.
It's so quick.
What a useless piece of narration.
My melancholy baby, where are you?
Where'd you get that box? I don't know what you're talking about. You lying to me, going through my things. What'd you do with the picture?
Tell me.
I didn't see it. That's the last time you put your hands on me. I'll give you one more chance, and then I told you I don't know where the picture is, and I don't know what you're talking about.
It's been you all the time going through my things, opening my mail, rapping on my door at night.
Now you're blaming me. I've never touched anything.
Rapping at my chamber door.
I was just trying it on. Mr.
You
Ward
sit at her chamber door like, check me out.
I'll tell you when there's something I don't want. Oh, shut up. It's only a dummy.
A dummy? Where'd you get that thing?
I suppose you're going to tell me you don't know anything about that
thing. You know I got that thing on me.
You know what? That thing on me.
How did you get the mail?
I don't know. The doorbell rang, and I thought it was a mailman. I opened the door,
Evan,
and he was
right?
sitting there on the stoop.
You're lying.
No, I'm not. I don't mind telling a lie now and then, but I'm not lying now.
You know Evan's got that thing on him.
Yeah, we got that thing.
I'm not leaving.
No, but I am.
You come here.
Whee!
Mr. Ward, pretty thick, aren't you?
Thick?
Yes, thick like your head. He's fallen in love with someone else. Who is she?
I don't know. It's not me.
I know it isn't you.
His back you steadily up to the
Fallen in
corner.
love with some simple-faced man. There's always a way
Man,
to get
can't
even.
live with him.
So.
Gotta find that picture. Otherwise, they won't know what he looks like. Got to send it to the police. He won't dare touch me.
Who do you mean, the man in the picture?
Have you seen him?
Maybe I have.
She's
maybe I
playing
haven't.
games with her head.
Maybe
This
I
is
saw
like
him
the
go
worst
behind the
housekeeper.
Or through the wall. Or under the house.
He's here in the house?
Yes. I let him in. I let him in. He was waiting outside to get you, Miss Laval. Miss Laval.
There's nothing safe from your prying eyes, is there?
Nice.
You think you know everything,
Nice.
don't you?
I know
Bull
why you're
looking for
afraid,
action.
And I know what you've done. No, I'm not so thick. I'm not as thick as you think I am, Miss Laval. That head's supposed to be you. Kind of a calling card. Only mind you that.
Why, you?
Whoa, she's got a good arm.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
lady.
I was just about to do a Ritz Brothers bit, and you know,
I'm afraid. Where are you
just
hiding?
drive the point home.
Dr. Fanny! Dr. Fanny! Doc!
You think he really fell down
But after
those
all, there ain't nothing
stairs?
in my contract that says I got
I mean,
Well, now I
they
ask, is that
probably
anything to be playing football
dummy
with?
proofed him a little bit. Put
Let's
some
get
like
that, Raymond.
padding
Miss
on there.
Fanny chucked it at me like I was a pass receiver for a football team. And I'm all out of practice.
Let me see it.
I'm all out of
This comes
practice.
from a group of anatomical specimens that was locked in a room in the cellar. How did you happen to get it?
That's what I'm trying to tell you. There I was, outside her door, strictly minding my own business, understand? Listening at the keyhole.
I don't think that belongs in the realm of your duties, Raymond.
But, Doc, there were screams inside. You gotta admit it's within the longitude of my profession to make with an
within the
investigative
longitude.
reaction
The
there, too.
longitude.
I don't understand how his head got from its locked room in the cellar.
It's
Well, the way
within
I
the
heard it, it
fucking
was something Mrs.
longitude, bro.
That was rather a gruesome
Yeah,
practical joke.
jabroni.
Why, your anatomical locker hasn't been open for ages. I think you once told me you'd lost the only key to it.
I know. There is no key to my knowledge.
Why, that thing didn't walk out of the room by itself.
Hardly.
Doc, I'm worried.
What about, Raymond?
Well, now, take this head business. The whole thing don't seem hardly serious to me. I think that if it's all the same to you, I better be checking along to other duties.
You're not afraid, are you, Raymond?
Who, me? Scared? It's just that I don't think that there's going to be any murder here done after all.
That's too bad.
Here done.
Well, it's not your fault, I guess. Just not my lucky day, that's all.
Thank you, Lilibeth.
Oh, Miss Lilibeth, have you a little more coffee in the kitchen?
What happened to the 3 gallons I already gave you today?
Lilibeth, what
Got
you
him.
need is a
Zing.
good, strong, steady man
Who is always hanging around, tracking up my floors and things. What's that on your shoe? Looks like cobwebs from out of the cellar. What were you doing in the basement?
It could have been the attic.
Bill Raymond, you're holding out on me. What are you up to?
Up to?
Yes. Who asked
You
you
can't
to
see
go
that my
poking
hands are
around
on my
the cellar?
hips right now, but my hands are
It's
on my
in
hips right
performance of my duty.
What duty? What did you
Duty?
Absolutely nothing. That's what makes me so
They said it.
disgusted.
Too bad about you.
You know, Lilibeth, I think somebody around here is just kidding. They don't mean business at all.
Why don't you just wait around and see?
Say, if you got any inside dope, I wish you'd tip me off. If I'm ever going to get back to Central and...
Sure do wish you
detective,
tipped
I
me
gotta have
off.
some clues.
You got some inside dope.
Tip me off if you know what I mean.
Yes, I was scared. Scared of my life.
I've never understood that line. Scared of my
I
life.
expected big things of that ghoulish-looking guy, but
You
he
think
ain't
that was just a
delivered
typo?
neither.
I don't know.
I
It
should
really
say, in a
slipped
way,
under the
he was
radar.
desperate to expect big
Yeah.
things from him.
Just misread like we don't have
Leo was
time.
once
We got to
confined
be
in
out of
his
here.
house when it
We
was
got to
an
be out of the Glen
institution
Glen
for the
Sound
insane.
Studio in like 5 minutes. We have 20 more of these cutaways to get
He
through.
must know his way around the place, huh?
I understand while he was here, he engineered an immense number of secret passages through which the guards could keep an eye on the inmates at night. Finally, he took one of these passages into the outside world, and we heard later he'd been seen in Europe.
Ah, Europe. That's where history's being made today. Gee, I'd love to travel and...
Well, perhaps you'll have an opportunity someday.
Not if something don't happen around here pretty soon to make me famous. That Lilibeth. I've been trying to get a cup of coffee off of her all day. She don't care what happens to my metabolism. Metabolism. That's a good word. I wonder what it means.
Wow. There's a lot of history coming out of Europe these days.
Yeah.
He said in 1947.
Yeah, not the most obvious statement of all
I
time.
want the police right away.
Oh, damn.
Got him. Click.
Stop crowding me.
But, hon, don't you want me around to protect you? That indigo guy might...
Yes, but who's going to protect me from you?
Lilibeth. My wild Irish rose. I just live for the day when I can take you out of all
My
this.
wild Irish
Like a slave
rose.
And get you the luxuries in
I
life.
can't believe that used to be
I'd
a
gladly work my fingers
platitude.
to the bone to buy you expensive motor cars and furs and jewels and things and serve you breakfast in bed. What's the matter with me? Am I crazy?
Yes, and I'd hate to hang by my neck until you got me all those things.
Yeah, you might get a little blue in the face. Still in all I gotta do is to find myself one slightly murdered body, and I'm in.
Stop looking at me.
Oh, Lilibeth, sometimes I think I'm not getting anywheres with you. What do you think?
I think you've got a good idea there.
All right. You'll be sorry someday when you see my picture in the paper. Wait and see. Hey, Lilibeth, why don't you answer the doorbell? Maybe that indigo guy wants in. The doctor ain't home. You'll have to call some other time.
Don't be silly.
Don't say I didn't tell you. Close the door on your way out.
Hey, wait a minute. Well, if it isn't Bull Raymond.
Shh, Terry. You trying to ruin me?
Ruin him. Come here, Bull. Meet Miss Cornell.
How do you do, I'm sure.
Likewise.
How do you happen to be out with him?
Cute, darling, don't you think? Flat at both ends, head and feet. You've heard me speak of him. Bull Raymond.
Bill Raymond, if you please. Mr. Terry Lee, you so-called reporter. How do you happen to be out with a dish like this?
Exposition.
Good for dull days in a man's life.
Mr. Raymond. Oh, yeah, I remember. Terry told me about the time you shot up the dressmaker's dummy.
Huh?
Yeah, he said you closed in on what you thought was the murderer, but it turned out to be the dressmaker's dummy, and you shot it full of holes while the real murderer got away.
My pal.
So this is where you've been hiding after they kicked you out for that fiasco, huh, Bull? Bill, I mean?
What are you doing here? Can't a man rehabilitate himself in peace? Here I come, looking for an honest crime around here so I can solve it and get myself back to Central. And you come along and...
It's not like you said rehabilitate or something.
No, let's keep it friendly.
Friendly? What do you mean?
Let's have it. Who killed who and why?
Are you kidding? Did somebody get knocked off around here?
Look, I don't like to be kidded either. Where is it hidden, Sherlock?
Oh, Terry, you've been on the police beat so long that...
Now listen, Bill, you know me well enough to know I wouldn't come out here just for the ride. Not when I could be, It just so happens there was a call to the police. Came from out here. And I happened to be there when it came through. Miss Cornell happens to be the operator. So she tipped me off. Told me the line had gone dead. So I smell the story, and here I am for an exclusive. You see what I mean? What's in there?
Well, that's the doctor's consulting room, but there ain't nobody in there. I've been standing here for quite a spell.
Open it up. Let's take a look.
Quite a spell. We got to bring that one back, man. Where's that one been?
The lights in here.
Quite a spell.
Here for a spell.
Never do that. I could get killed that way.
Is that bad? Oh, so nothing's happened around here, huh?
A wisecracking reporter. You gotta love it.
There, see? Like I said, there ain't nobody here. Hey, cut it out, will you? You're making me dizzy. Well, sure, somebody stumbled over it and pulled it out of the wall. Could happen anywheres.
Wants to shake hands with you, Bill. Step right up.
Not me. You seen it first.
Uh-oh.
Doc!
Raymond, did you try and kill me?
Why, Doc? Why should I do that? You ain't paid me for last month yet.
Classic. Cheap doctor.
I was going to make a telephone call when...
Somebody conked you, huh, Doctor? Then rip the telephone wire out?
Yes, I imagine that is about what happened. Who are these people?
Mrs. Terry Lee and Miss Cornell from the Times.
We don't want any reporters here. Nothing's happened.
Look, Doctor, nobody ever wants reporters, but then something happens and there they are.
Nothing has happened. I fell and hurt my head.
Oh, I see. Then you got up again, put yourself on the table, and got all nice and pretty in that shroud there.
You won't get any story here. And now, if you'll excuse me, I have some work to do.
Doctor, do you mind if we stick around for a while, seeing that nothing's happened? Well, why not?
Very well. You may stay
Oh, you gotta love a persistent reporter. You gotta stay on the beat, man. Follow that scoop.
Well, come on. You heard what the doctor said. He's busy. Get out of the office.
I love how Zucco like goes back to his desk, like trying to act like everything's normal. It's his hair's all messed up, and he's like, probably got a concussion. Sorry, Dr. Van E. If that name makes any sense.
Oh, Terry, you're
Spelled
my pal. You know
E-E.
that, don't you? Would I kick you out?
You would if you could, Bill. Now, why can we have a little talk quiet?
Yeah, what if you could, huh?
Just follow me in the parlor over here.
Yeah, what if you could, if you should, if you... yeah, it starts rapping. Rapping at my chamber door.
Baby, I'm going to miss you an awful lot when I grow tired of you. Now, remember, you're just going to listen.
Well, of course, darling. What else do I do when I'm with you?
Sit down.
Hey, Sweet Pete's in the house. Yes.
Laura Laval. Didn't she marry young Ward Vanny a couple of years ago?
Oh, look at that green mask.
I don't know nothing about it.
Oh, yes, you do. It was just about the same time that you had that affair with the dressmaker's dummy.
Oh, Oh, yeah. Yeah, now I remember, Terry. You're right.
They just keep playing that music cue like every inopportune moment.
Well, there was a party going on, and somebody dared Ward to ask the singer to marry him. And he thought at the time it was a good gag, and he went along with it.
That's right. He got pretty high and then popped the question at her.
How romantic. I just love that.
Hush, dear. Listen.
Well, that's how it happened anyway.
You gotta love
Ward
40s misogyny.
Found himself married solid. He'd asked her, and she'd snapped him.
The mask.
Mask. What is going
I
on?
think it was sweet.
It's like, yeah, that's definitely how a person is able to move. Like,
What's that? Little girls should be seen and not heard. Now go on, powder your nose.
yeah, we're gonna give you a yikes, Mr. Lee, for your misogyny and all that good stuff.
Pushed away into this house for good reasons of her own.
Gentlemen,
Big old nose, big old honker.
Big schnoz.
Schnoz. That's the word.
Eavesdropping.
Professor Leonard, this is a reunion.
My boy, you must forgive me. You seem to remember me, but I do not recollect you. When was it?
What was it?
We're playing a game of tag,
It was a long time ago, and I was a
he's
kid
it.
up in the balcony in Albany.
Or he's gotta go
When
high.
you brought down the
I'm
house
it.
with great feats of legerdemain. You remember,
I'm it.
Professor? That was
I'm
the night that
it.
the box office receipts disappeared, just like magic.
Part of the act, my boy. Just a part of the act. It's a pleasure to meet one of my youthful admirers.
Terry Lee of the Central City Times.
Oh, the press?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's nice to have known you.
Wait a minute, Professor. What's your hurry? Are you afraid I might bring up the subject of those certain unfortunate recent connections of yours?
Shot in the dark, my boy, I'm sure. And I will ignore it.
Oh, I got Fresh's favorite penny beer up.
This young
Hey.
lady, no doubt a companion of yours.
Jane Cornell, my fiancée.
Delighted.
Likewise, I'm sure.
Delightful.
Bud Light
And I would
next.
suggest to take very good care of her.
Bud Light pennies. It doesn't cost pennies, it just tastes like them.
I haven't had a chance to talk to him yet, Mrs. Vanny.
Never mind, I'll tell him myself.
Sounds like the worst of
I
it.
met her upstairs and I told her all about you, and that you know everything about everyone.
Thank you very much, dear. Welcome to your living room, Mrs. Vanny.
Thank you, but it isn't my living room. I understand you're not unaware of my position in this house.
Well, maybe you can tell us about it.
I'm being kept a prisoner here against my will. I'm alone and friendless.
I'm sorry. Why haven't you called the police?
that's a. They need to bring that style back, man.
So that I can't leave.
Big hair, big hat,
I understand.
barely holding
They're
on.
trying to
No.
destroy my mind, Mr. Lee. By innuendo and indirection, they're trying to make me believe I've done something dreadful in the past. That I'm to be the victim of some horrible vengeance.
You know best about that.
I'm innocent, Mr. Lee. I've done nothing. Now, this doctor's brought some stranger here with these tricks and illusions to further make me
You
believe...
mean the professor and his little,
Yes. You must help me, Mr. Lee.
Laura, it's so good to see you downstairs again after all these days being locked in your room.
You know perfectly
Hey,
well why
everybody's
I locked in my
gathering
room.
in the drawing room.
This is Mr. Lee of the Times, the gentleman I told you about upstairs.
Oh, yes. Look here, Mr. Lee. We don't want any more of that front-page splash stuff, such as I got when I married Laura.
Your wife's been telling us that she's being kept here under constant threat.
She is out of her mind.
See what I mean, Mr. Lee? They don't
Oh
belong
yeah,
to
my
St.
wife
John's
is
to
just
prove my
crazy.
head that
Yeah,
I'm
don't
crazy.
you love how flat
Perhaps
it
I can
is?
explain, Mr. Lee.
Yep, that's the
We don't believe
blocking.
there's anything
That's
wrong with
Christy
Laura now.
Cobain for you.
But we are sure something will happen to her mind if she continues to live under this strain.
It's just as I told
One
you.
of
They're
these
behind it.
poverty road
How do they make that
directors who
clear to
could
you?
just,
They
you know,
spend
make a
all their
movie
time
in
trying to
5
find
days. This is how you do it.
Yeah.
There's so many dummy heads wrapped in green paper. Anything to frighten me so I
Yeah,
can't sleep.
yeah,
I can't
definitely.
think. The only thought
There's a
my
lot
head's
of
I'm gonna be killed.
there's a lot of just
These are very serious
standing
charges,
around
gentlemen.
talking at each other.
And
Yeah.
I might say that I have
That's
perfect
essentially
front-page
it.
splash.
Lee, if you dare print a word about those ravings of my wife...
Don't do anything to make me think they aren't ravings, Mr. Vanny.
He said to put the blindfold on and and you will know the truth.
Dear God.
Ah. That was a good stage fall.
Quietly. You don't mean
She knew how
that
to catch herself. Here we're back. Ah.
Then I knew that he was here.
Who?
Him.
Hey, he's here.
He's here.
She's coming out of it, but she's in an advanced state of shock. Maybe necessary to administer a sedative.
Oh, yeah.
That's intended to shut her up. I'd like to hear her do some more talking, Doctor.
She
If
needs
her
a
mind is
sedative.
allowed to dwell upon what's happened, that may be the breaking point.
Well, you've got all the answers.
Look here, Lee, I don't like your tone. If you have any insinuations to make them to me.
Okay, I will. Suppose you and I talk this over downstairs.
I don't recognize your right to question me. However, if it'll make you leave father alone.
This is my house, but you know what?
Bill,
Let's
fix
do it.
yourself a chair right outside the door and don't leave until I get back.
Sure, but what about Lily?
I just kicked these fucking people out of my house. I want everybody out.
First, I'd like to see
Everybody
your
out.
credentials. You're busting here saying you're a reporter.
That's the old turn the tables gig, Vanny, but if it'll make you any happier, take a look.
All right, you're a reporter.
Hey, here's my reporter badge, so you know I'm a reporter. Oh yeah, this checks out.
That story, Lee? Do you in your right senses really believe that we are keeping Laura a prisoner here?
That's what the lady says. She said that...
Nonsense. Nothing would please me more than if she got out.
Look, I don't get any of this stuff, Vanny, but there's a tricky deal going on around here, and I intend to sit in on it. Too bad I can't flash the city desk to make ready for a front-page replay.
Yes, isn't it?
Either your wife is
What did you pin?
persecution calculated to drive her insane.
Oh yeah, nice. Very good.
You're the fellow with the nose for
These
views.
nuts.
That was, yes,
It tells me
definitely
that right
worth
now, I'd
it.
like to know where your disappearing relative is.
Worthy pin.
What
He's
the fuck?
baying at the moon.
Well,
What's out there? I have a right to know.
Silently?
He's doing an interpretive dance show.
yeah.
He's pantomiming what it would look like if he was.
What was it?
It isn't possible. It isn't possible, of
What do you
course.
see out there, Lee?
I'm a werewolf.
I'm acting.
Oh, no.
What is that hat? Is she just wearing it upside down and?
It reminds me of
Well, Professor,
you know,
I thought I just saw
no,
you outside banging the moon.
that sailor hat.
I see that.
Where have you been? How about you start acting normally for a change? You're bringing suspicion upon all of us.
You're so weird, Leonide.
Wait now.
Suppose you tell us.
Has no one arranged to silence you yet?
See, the eyebrows are full on right now, full
I know
power,
silence very easy, Professor.
Full
and it'll take a lot more
full
than what you've done to her.
arches.
Do you suggest that I had a hand in that poor girl's unfortunate demise?
Why don't you behave yourself, Professor? Mr. Van E here has the right
Oh,
idea.
Look how
behave.
American these guys are, like counter to Bella.
What are you
Yeah.
waiting for? What do you expect to get
Like,
out?
hey,
What
why
do you
don't you
know? What do you
stifle
know?
yourself there?
Yeah.
That contracted many years ago.
Quit being so foreign, damn it.
Now, are you any wiser than you were a moment ago?
No, but I'm beginning to get a general idea.
By the way, how's that little girl of yours? I hope fervently that nothing happened to her. She would look so beautiful.
There's the 40s misogyny
Look, Professor,
rearing
I may
its
not
head
have been
again.
very smart in bringing Miss Cornell
She's
here,
a
but if I
woman,
thought you had
all
any
right?
plan to do that,
Why do you persist in making me the villain, Mr. Lee?
Bang, bang, bang.
Now we will let you be the witness, Mr. Lee. I am here. The sounds came from upstairs, right?
And that is going to take us to our second break.
The shots came from upstairs. That means I didn't do it. But I will lock you in this room.
Right. All right. I'm out. I'll see you guys later. You know I didn't do it. I'm just going to slip in this secret passage and not be up to anything suspicious at all whatsoever. There's nobody
It couldn't
looking.
have been me. I'll be over here.
Yep. I mean, diversions, distractions. That's, you know, the magician's strength. And Lugosi's, you know, I mean, isn't that the perfect way to get out of a conversation? Just, oh, those gunshots, you better go look into that. All right. Just step out of this now.
I'll be right here.
I'll just be here in this room chilling like a villain.
Yeah, if you're ever at a place where you don't want to be and you need a quick escape plan, all you need is a friend with a gun.
Yep. You get out pretty quick, I think, if you got that friend by your side. You should be able to remove yourself from that situation pretty easy.
Gunshots, gotta go.
No, sorry. Yeah, you gotta split. Yeah. So what do we think so far? We've, you know, a lot of intrigue. We got some new characters who came in at the midpoint, basically.
Yeah, so it feels like there's a lot of talking going on, but I can't tell if there's a lot of anything happening.
Yeah, basically I think I can very easily tell you what's happened up to this point.
Please do.
Basically, I said easy, and now I'm like, I don't even know. No.
All right, let's go back to the beginning.
All right, no. But basically, obviously, this woman, Laura, like her husband,
to figure out who killed her.
Yeah, and like so and so we've met all the suspects now, right? And we obviously see you've got her husband who doesn't want to be married to her. She's got her father-in-law who obviously, you know, is kind of just a weird doctor. His cousin from out of town, from Europe, who's just come in with his companion to just kind of go around the secret passages of this house.
to be a specter in this house.
Pretty much. You got a detective looking for somebody to get murdered so he can get his old police job back. And then you've got this reporter and his girlfriend who've been tipped that some weird shit is going down in this house. And you've also got this housekeeper who the detective's in love with. And she has been hypnotized and is now presumably dead. And that scared the murder victim so bad that she's not dead, but she's very seriously shocked. She's scared half to death, not full death yet.
So we gotta finish the job.
We're halfway there. Oh, we're actually over halfway technically with the movie, but yeah. So basically, there is somebody who has it out.
Hang on. I before we go on, I just want to say, living on a scare.
Oh, very good.
Okay, please continue.
That's very good. If Fresh had his effects tonight, there'd be your ba-dum.
Yes.
But basically, this woman, Laura, somebody's got it out for her. Somebody's trying to kill her. And all this weird shit is a part of that person's plan to get her all worked up psychologically and then kill her. And trying to take revenge for something. And that's basically it. That was, you know, that was a lot, actually. That wasn't, you know, that was really just me saying plot points. I don't know that any of it made any sense, but
no,
that's,
I think that helped.
Essentially what's happened up to this point. And so it's really, we're Scooby-Dooing it right now. We're trying to figure out who is the murderer.
It does feel a little Scooby-Doo, doesn't it?
Right, yeah, you got a bunch of going in between rooms in this house and people asking questions and a lot of talking.
The celebrity guest and Bela Lugosi.
Yes, true. Just going around.
Scooby and the gang meet Bela Lugosi.
Yeah, I mean, and well, like all celebrity guests, just misdirection, really. And it's never the celebrity guest is in all the you remember when Scooby-Doo did they had like a series in the 70s where it was, I don't remember what it was called.
I don't remember either. They always met somebody though.
Yeah, they met some celebrity, and that was always like. They were never the bad guy. It was just always, and this person's in it. And that's honestly how every Bela Lugosi movie was, like, from this point on, except with a small exception of Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. This was really kind of... He was just doing the same shtick every time. That's why you have Bela Lugosi meets a Brooklyn gorilla as a movie title. The man's name is literally in the title because it was just about selling the fact that he's in it. He's not the main character. It's not really a good role. He's here. He's in it. And that's, essentially how the rest of his career played out. And
so he's in the red herring part of his career,
pretty much. And I mean, he was there in the mid part of his career.
Butler, who you think did it, but he didn't do it,
right? Like we saw with the last Lugosi movie we watched on the show, The Gorilla. That was basically after 1936. That was basically the kind of roles he was getting outside of Poverty Row. Like some of the poverty, we've seen some good Poverty Rows where he's like front and center, but a lot of the times he was just kind of a red herring. And it was just, we're using your name. We're going to put it up prominently in the credits, but you don't really play like a huge, you're not the ultimate big bad guy. And that's where Ed Wood kind of was a little different, at least with Bride of the Monster, which is the second trailer that we're going to see. The first one we're going to see, of course, like I said.
Wait, is this an Ed Wood?
Bride of the Monster?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got an Ed Wood trailer.
Well, I think we've seen it. We saw it back when we watched The Phantom Creeps for our season 2 minisodes. But I don't even know if I billed it then as a Lugosi movie. But this is the one in Ed. You've seen Ed Wood, right?
Yeah.
This is the one in Ed Wood where he's rolling around with the octopus.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's very fun.
Yes, and we'll get to watch that. That's kind of a little preview of coming attractions. I think we will watch Bela Lugosi meets a Brooklyn gorilla. We will watch all of the Ed Wood Lugosi movies. So, we're 4 seasons in, but don't worry. We still have plenty of Lugosi lined up. Now, is it prime Lugosi? No. We may get a couple movies, and eventually, in a few years, provided we're still going strong, which I have no doubts we definitely will be. Dracula will be public domain. So we will get to see, that is the best Bela Lugosi performance. This is my favorite Bela Lugosi movie tonight. I know that may sound crazy, but it is. But the best performance, I mean, it's Dracula, hands down.
Is it the costume? The hat and the Dracula cape and the Colonel Sanders tie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that might be what's doing it for me. Just to see all that in color. I mean, that's the thing. When I was a kid, this checked all the boxes for me. We watched this movie. I don't remember afterward being like, oh, like that was a lot of talking. Oh, I don't like and it's just been one of my favorites. So.
Was this the only color movie in your collection as a kid?
Close, yeah, pretty much. Definitely of the handful. This is one of 5 probably. I think you're pretty close. This is definitely not. Definitely all these old movies, colors not if every movie was made with Cinecolor, hey, I'd take it. But then Frankenstein's monster would be blue, and I don't know how I'd feel about that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we're gonna get these 2 trailers, and then when we come back, we'll get into the exciting conclusion of Scared to Death. I've also got, with some of these old movies, we have the beauty of seeing the press books that were sent to the movie theaters when the distributor was trying to promote the movie, and there are some crazy gimmicks that they tried to sell to the movie theaters to promote this movie. So we're going to run over those real quick when we get back from the break. And then
stay tuned for that.
Yes, so stay tuned. And we'll be in the exciting conclusion of Scared to Death. So after the break, so stick around. We'll be right back.
Okay, banga banga.
Since when do you talk a native language?
I just started today.
Well, what do you say?
What do you say? I don't even know what I said.
Baby, of course I do. Duke Mitchell and Sammy Petrillo turn an island paradise into the zaniest madhouse in the 7 seas. Charlita puts a gleam in Duke Mitchell's eyes. Your smile only added life to your masquerade. Muriel Landers puts the whammy on Sammy.
Sammy! Run for your life! Go on, get out of here. Run for your life.
Ramona, the romantic chimp, takes off on a romantic chase of her own.
Strange, but interesting.
Really think so? What a charming compliment.
Bela Lugosi finds the perfect subject to turn a gorilla into a goof, and versa versa.
Look, what are you trying to tell me? I don't understand a word. What am I, dumb or something? Don't answer that. Now look, Duke Mitchell, I'm running this game, you understand? And don't talk back. Yeah, now put it on, because we gotta get out that door.
Lobo, take the girl to my quarters.
Janet's car? Yeah. There's not a trace of it.
Let me loose. Did you hear me? You will be soon as big as a giant. Or, like all the others, dead.
And we are back. So yeah, that was Bela Lugosi meets the Brooklyn Gorilla and Bride of the Monster. And we will see those movies in the subsequent seasons of the Scream Stream. Yeah, I don't know. He will either do Bride of the Monster or Plan 9 next season. I don't know which, but we'll do one of those. So we'll really, I mean, again, Plan 9 isn't really much. There's not really a Lugosi performance there. There's clips of Lugosi, and there's a character that's essentially supposed to be Lugosi's character, but most of the time it's a guy that doesn't look like Lugosi running around covering up half of his face. So it's not really
it's generous to say that he's part of that movie.
Yeah, it is very. Yeah, that was like the whole bit in Ed Wood, and like he's got this tiny little film can. And he's like, in here is an acorn, which will grow like a whole new film. Bela Lugosi's last film is here. And I don't know if that's how Ed Wood really approached it, but the movie Ed Wood sells it that way, and it's a lot of fun. You know? And that's the whole conflict. Was Ed Wood an opportunist? Or did he actually kind of help Bela Lugosi when nobody else would? It's a controversial subject, depending on who you ask. But we'll be able to get into that the next couple seasons. We're about to get into the exciting conclusion of Scared to Death. But
I want to get into some of these
gimmicks.
Marketing, the gimmicks.
Yes. So on this show, we've gone into gimmicks before. We've talked about the D13 test. Are you sane enough to watch this movie? And you know, a lot of the movies that we've watched had some kind of crazy gimmick, but that was because when these movies came out, there'd be press books, and the press books would tell the movie theaters, suggest ways to try to promote the movie. And sometimes these gimmicks that they came up with were absolutely bonkers, and I hope movie theaters didn't do some of these. But you know, Scared to Deaths are just like any other, and so I've got 5 here that are just ridiculous. So the first one was some street ballyhoo. They said, hire a man and dress him up in the weirdest kind of costume you can get your hands on. A combination Dracula ape-man Frankenstein outfit would be perfect. I'm quoting verbatim from the thing.
Can you read that again?
A combination Dracula ape-man Frankenstein outfit would be perfect. Have him walk through your town jumping at people, shouting boo, sneaking around corners, frightening pedestrians, and making an eerie nuisance.
How does that push people towards your movie?
Yeah, how would they know it's for the movie?
The rest is there's supposed to be a sign. The guy's supposed to be wearing a sign on him that says some ridiculous thing about coming to see Scared to Death at this theater.
Right.
So that's how they know.
Put on this costume and try to scare people to death, and then say, "Hey, go see this movie."
Hey, if you like that, you love this.
If you like being scared, you should go see Scared to Death. And so the next one was for in the theater. It's a blindfold stunt because, you know, our lead role here, our lead female role here, Laura, she doesn't like being blindfolded. So they said, set up a blindfold booth, draw the attention of a small crowd, ask for a woman volunteer, blindfold her with a green scarf, rub something slimy on her arm, suggesting it might be a snake, drop some red paint on her hand, tell her it's blood, just watch her reaction when the blindfold is removed.
Put her hand.
Yeah, just harass people into watching your movie.
Oh, it gets increasingly ridiculous. This one is behind a mask. Have 2 large green masks made, big enough to cover a man from head to foot. Place the 2 of them together by string attachments at the side so that the man in the middle is barely visible, and have him parade through the streets near the theater with a sign on the front and back that promotes the movie.
Great.
Then
it's just a Halloween costume.
So right, essentially, but 2 masks glued together. Like, what the hell would that even look like? Like,
it's just a huge mask walking down the street.
A huge green mask. Too bad that they didn't steal that gimmick for The Mask with Jim Carrey. That would have been a good gimmick. So the next 2 are really ridiculous. So this first one, hypnotic stage show. And the wording here is absolutely insane. Why not scout around town and find a hypnotist, possibly even an amateur, who would be willing to appear at your theater for a small sum? Take volunteers from the audience and show the power of hypnosis.
Great. So we're going to hire somebody off of Craigslist, and he's going to put on a little show for the movie.
That's how they make it sound. They're like, oh, we don't care if this person is just, like vaguely acquainted with a couple hypnotism phrases. Go ahead, send them out there. If you've got the money for it, go ahead. Could you imagine if, I don't know, it all depends on how much you believe in the veracity of hypnotism. But the idea that you would be promoting, like, them getting somebody that's not good at hypnotism. That's basically what they're saying. Doesn't have to be a good hypnotist, just has to be a hypnotist. It's kind of terrifying if a bad hypnotist had that, like, some kind of power.
Maybe they're just doubting, like, how many good hypnotists do you think are even out there? If you have to, like, comb your city to find any hypnotist, you might just have to take what you can get.
I mean, I guess, but what if they do irrevocable damage to an entire audience of people? That's a lot like...
And then they can't pay attention to the movie.
Right, exactly. And then the whole theater just goes insane. I mean, you've lost your audience then. So
When I snap my fingers, you will be a talking body on a slab.
My mind began to crack. Oh! Yeah, you gotta have the chorus in there. So the last one is by far the most ridiculous. So most involved. So so this is how it's promoted. This is the title on it. Entice your patrons by scaring them. Like, that's how it's worded too. Scaring them. Scaring apostrophe E-M. Entice your patrons by scaring them. Like, it's very aggressive. Okay, so that's just the title. Select patrons from the audience. One or two who appear to be the Casper Milquetoast type. So I had to look this up. So Casper Milquetoast was a comic character that's basically, and if you've heard the word milquetoast before, used in this way, it's supposed to refer to somebody who's weak or timid or kind of scared easily, frightened easily. And I didn't even know milk toast is a food. I didn't even know that. I had to look that up. Apparently that's why they named the character that, because it's a soft, easily digestible food, apparently. So the Casper Milquetoast. So find a Casper Milquetoast type, subject them to an eerie type of quiz on stage. What would you do if you were stranded in a deserted old house with no means of lighting after midnight? Do you think there are such things as ghosts? What would you do if you came face to face with an enraged murderer? Choose
eerie quiz.
Yeah, an eerie quiz. Choose the contestant who best answers and subject them to the following stunts.
That's a reward?
Make them remain alone in a graveyard for a specified time around midnight. Make them spend a certain amount of time in a haunted house alone after dark. Make them see Scared to Death alone in a theater after midnight. Make them wander through a rigged up maze alone in which weird sounds, faces, and figures are calculated to create an eerie atmosphere. So they just say like 5 different things, including make a whole spook trail to scare one guy.
Yes, just for one person.
One haunted trail for one guy, one Casper Milquetoast type.
All right, we've got Casper Milquetoast here. He's done great on the quiz segment, and it looks like he's won our grand prize and all expenses paid trip to a cemetery.
Ah!
We're just gonna leave him out there.
Ah! He wouldn't even
People
go.
are dying to get in there.
But so this is the rest of it. String it out for a couple of days. Newspapers would follow your contestant's movements, taking pictures of him and watching his reactions, and in turn, bring them to readers. You might have a doctor publicly give them a cursory physical examination before starting a round of spook stunts to see if his heart and nerves will stand the blood-curdling strain.
What?
Just fully invasive could you imagine? You're in a movie theater. You raise your hand to volunteer for what you just think is going to be a simple on-stage quiz. That's
you have
it.
no idea what you're getting yourself into.
You are involving yourself in a multi-stage process in which your privacy is completely invaded just so they can promote this movie. Now, there is, Evan, to answer your question earlier, on completion of the Scared to Death routine, that's what they call it, the contestant would receive a suitable reward, which you would, of course, decide upon and publicize. So whoever you pick through this is getting you decide what to give them at the end. Could you imagine the movie theaters like, and you get 5 free bags of popcorn and like just some voucher for like 1 free movie or something. Yeah. After going through all of that, what kind of promotional? Totally worth it, man. Totally worth it, bro. Do you think any theater actually did that? I don't have any data. I don't know, but like,
there's no way.
Well, back then, I mean, were they doing this for every screening of this film, or was it just like for a special? Like, what was going to the movies like in the 40s?
So the idea is that every movie basically came with a press book, and a press book was full of, you know, information about the movie, a synopsis, but then it would also have articles that could be put in the local newspaper about the actors in the movie, the production of the movie. It could be kind of reviews already staged up, but then they also had different ways of promoting the movie, and not every theater was bound to do every gimmick. They were just more like suggestions. Try this, try that, try that. It's basically, if you have the resources, give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these sound like they involve, you know, some kind of volunteer, which means, so like, if I go to the movies in 1947, can I expect that, like, I'm gonna have to deal with some guy, like, doing some kind of, you know, promotional thing, like with a volunteer before the movie starts?
Absolutely. 100%.
That's just, I'm glad that doesn't have, like, a...
I mean, if you're in a smaller region, it just depends, you know, because in the smaller regions, you'd have roadshow exhibits. So in that case, you got one guy who's setting up business in town for a week at the movie theater, coming up with all kinds of ways to, like, virally market his movie just in the town. Like, Reefer Madness, which we'll watch, you know, maybe next season, I don't know. That is very much one of those movies where, you know, roadshow, somebody would set up in a town and just promote the hell out of a movie for a week and say all kinds of outrageous things. But pretty much, especially if you were in bigger markets, you could expect that going to the movies was a very...
like a live show.
Oh, yeah. And like, even tonight's movie, it wasn't really successful upon release, but throughout the 50s, it was... it accompanied spook shows, which showed in movie theaters. They'd have a magician or some kind of host come and do like a roughly an hour-long stage show, and then they'd show a movie that was cheap or maybe public domain already. And Scared to Death ended up in a lot of these lineups, and sometimes Bela Lugosi himself would be on stage, because Lugosi after this movie, basically spent the next couple years either touring, doing stage productions of Dracula, or Arsenic and the Old Lace, which was that Boris Karloff play where the character says, "Hey, say I look like Boris Karloff," and then everybody laughs. And that was what Lugosi was either doing, that or Dracula. And then he was also doing these spook shows. So he'd appear on stage in his Dracula cape. They do this show, and then they'd show like this movie. So it was, going to the movie theater was a very involved experience all throughout. I mean, basically up to the 50s, 60s, when you started having television, and then the drive-ins. A lot of that immersive experience kind of went away, unfortunately.
Do you think around that time that some of the old heads were complaining about back in my day, they used to give us a whole show?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I definitely, because that was the complaint eventually, was that, oh yeah, I could go into the movie theaters for a nickel and I could stay there all day and I'd get to see 2 movies, 3 cartoons.
I won a trip to a cemetery.
Yeah, I won a trip. Yeah, exactly. I won a lifetime supply of Camel cigarettes. You know, you never know. That was the whole thing, especially during the Depression. You had these movie palaces. It was all, that's why movie theaters started selling popcorn like they did. Why they started doing all these things was because it was about trying to keep people in the movie theater and to get them to spend their money there. And because it offered an escape, it was a very good business to be in, and just a very good business for the American public at the time. And pretty much through the 50s and 60s, that was the way that it was. And then between television and drive-ins, you just didn't have that same kind of, oh, I'm going to spend all day at the movies. You know, I mean, you could spend all day there if you wanted to. Now, I mean, you know, drive-ins, you had double features, but I mean, you know, theaters, it was like you had an A movie, a B movie, a C movie. It's just not the same, unfortunately. So, but these gimmicks were something else. I don't think they helped the movie a lot, but they were certainly fun to read about. I was surprised.
How did this movie do critically? Like, what was the reception?
Not good.
It doesn't seem like it. There's not a big online footprint for this movie.
No, and it's a very divisive movie as far as like, if you love it, you've been hypnotized by it some way. And
much like in the movie,
much like myself, just hypnotized by this movie. And other people just can't get over all the inconsistencies and the ridiculous lines and the stilted performances and, you know, no green.
Yeah.
It's
a slightly odd film.
It is odd.
I want to see how it shakes out.
Well, we're on that note, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into the exciting conclusion of Scared to Death, if Fresh has it queued up.
I do.
All right. Then we are going to get into the conclusion of our final film of season 4 right now.
Always reliable. Now what do you rehearse?
In there, Terry. In there. It's murder.
Moida.
It's bloody Moida.
Oh,
God. The mask.
That green mask. That green mask.
Look how green it is.
Look at how green it is.
Michael Myers.
Wake up.
Oh, Terry.
Tell me, what happened?
Oh, Terry, darling. Let me think. Everything went black and...
Yes?
Then it started to talk.
What started?
And they took my hat.
They did take your hat.
Now look, let's get back to the beginning. I left you
Traded
with Dr.
it for that
Vanny.
mask.
Yeah, and then he gave Mrs. Vanny a shot with a long needle.
Never mind that.
What do you mean, never mind that? That seems like
Okay,
important
where's she now?
information.
Who?
Mrs. Vanny.
Where did she go?
It's just what I asked you, Janie.
Well, she was right here. Then Dr. Van E went out.
Then what happened?
Oh, then Bill Raymond came in.
Oh, that's great. The two of you in the same room at the same time. How did you communicate with each other? Sign language?
I'm just a haughty reporter. I just can't get over myself.
Oh, yes, you did, dear. Don't you remember? You said you wanted to see what the life of a reporter was like.
Don't forget, Mr. Lee, one must not expect too much of certain types of mentality.
Shut up, Bill Raymond. I remember you when you couldn't even make your X.
When you couldn't even make your X.
We can't go home, darling. We've got to get a story. You don't understand.
Yes, I do. Why do we have to get the story? Who cares?
She's got you there.
All right. You tell me, what happened to you?
What happened to you?
Yeah,
See,
I love that.
I've been watching, there was an old movie on TV earlier today and I saw somebody using their hands like that. I'm like, they just don't do that like they used to.
There he goes. Creeping around.
Creeping around into the secret passage.
Still wearing his hat inside.
I know.
then come that odor of heavenly perfume.
That was an Olivette.
It was sweet and penetrating, like an ancient drug. And I felt kind of sleepy like. Oh, so sleepy.
At last he had me under his power.
It's hypnotizing you. That's what it does it. It's nosey. It's all that. Ooh.
2 o'clock, almost deadline for the 9 o'clock final.
Oh, Terry, what makes
God,
you
what
think
I
there's
wouldn't
anything
give to
behind
be
that
up at
wall?
2 a.m. trying to solve
that the professor uses them for
mystery.
disappearing.
Murder mystery.
I wish
So
Lily
much
Beth was
fun.
here. Make me a cup of coffee.
Well, she's right over in the doctor's
2
office. Why
a.m.
don't
I
you ask
need
her?
coffee. I need to solve this
Lily
thing.
Beth. I kind of hinted that all I needed was a murdered body, but I didn't think she'd take it personal.
Will you stay with those walls?
I've been around them 3 times, Terry.
Thing I can't understand, if the professor was down here when the trouble was going on upstairs, he just had to be 2 different guys in order to have a hand in it.
Oh, Terry, let's figure it out in the morning, huh?
What's that?
Just faulty lock, that's all.
Yeah, the door.
It was just the wind.
The wind.
Wake up. Either something or somebody opened the front door.
Oh, that's the shortest night's sleep I've had in a long time.
All right. Now that you're good and rested, let's see if we can understand what happened upstairs.
Well, do you think it had something to do with that picture, maybe, that Lily Beth found in Mrs. Van E's room?
What picture?
Oh, the one with the couple with the 2 masks, you know, like we found, like that mask.
Who has the picture now?
Like we found, like that mask,
yes.
see?
That's the point. Where has Mr. Van E been since his wife's disappearance?
Well, him and his old man are sleeping, but I guess they got some sense.
Oh, no. I've already checked that, and they haven't slept in their beds tonight.
Big Spinner got multiple of these masks.
Refuse to answer on the grounds that my attempt to incriminate or degrade me. My unconscious mind.
Now, look, Bill, please stay awake for a while. Now, look, tell me, what happened when you smelled that
How's the
sweet odor
mask
in the
gonna
hall
pop
upstairs?
up in front of that window if you're there in front of it?
Lovely, lovely. That's all I can remember.
And Dr. Van E had already left Laura's room, is that right?
Yeah, he'd gone out, and he said goodnight, and he had given her some sedative or something that he said would take care of her till morning, and then he went down the hall to his own room.
And then you fell asleep?
Yeah, no, I just kind of dozed off a little. Like this.
Here's your coffee, sir.
Terry, that's a dirty trick.
Stay on the other side of that window.
What for?
Take a look.
I'm looking.
What do you see?
This is the second time they've seen him out there, right?
Oh, he's
Yeah.
Professor Leonard.
You think so? Come on.
You think so? I don't know.
Sure, I can't go out there with Jane in here.
Who else has a cape and a hat like that?
You go outside.
Oh, that's great. You watch the way you did upstairs. Now, do you want that guy to get away?
Yes.
Standing there shaking in your boots. Aren't you ashamed of yourself?
No.
Well, you should be. Go on, Bill. This is your one chance to rehabilitate yourself.
Wished I'd never even heard of the word.
Uh-oh.
Have your gun ready. What good is a gun against what's going on around here? Lilybeth! Gee, this ain't natural.
Who are you talking to?
The woman I love.
But it is natural. Color.
Yeah.
Natural
Try and
color.
speak to me.
She can't hear you.
I love Angelo Rosito's own. He
What
got
was
his
you
own
doing
musical
outside?
cue for this.
You're
You love
supposed to
that.
be dead. You stay right here, honey. I gotta catch that guy in the shrubbery. Oh, gee. What
We
are you
got
doing
a
to me,
falling
Lilybeth?
body bit. Everybody
Like
look
I'd
out.
like to do. Lilybeth, be reasonable, will you? If you don't cooperate, I'll never get back to Central.
Never mind,
Look at
Raymond.
Lily.
Take care of Lilybeth. Lilybeth!
Yeah, that's who it was. I opened the door and she fell right in my arms. Like she had something special to tell me. You notice that fragrance about her? And to think this wilted flower was once even as you and I.
Take her back into Dr. Van E's office. What's she doing wandering around? She's supposed to be a corpse.
What happened to that guy outside?
Never mind.
You found her.
Never mind.
Yeah, what do you
Jack.
mean, never mind that?
I missed her. I missed her from my office. Will you please take her back?
What are you going to do?
Yes, Doctor, and what have you been doing? We've turned this house upside down trying to find you.
Hardly that, young man. If you'd done that, you would have found me. Now, Raymond, we can't allow this girl to remain in this condition any longer.
But what can you do?
Got him. Got him.
Looks like a perfect sniff to me.
Bring him into my office.
Oh, Doctor, this may not be any news to you, but your daughter-in-law has disappeared.
Oh, how dreadful. But let us say somewhat overdue.
How
Mr. Lee.
dreadful.
You don't seem very surprised to hear about it.
Young man, when you've been devoutly praying for something to happen, you accept your good fortune without question.
I hate my daughter-in-law, man. Oh, I'm ready for her to get out of here. Oh, thank God.
We thought that probably you might be able to throw some light on the subject.
That's right, Raymond. Leave her there. There's absolutely nothing wrong with her.
Huh? And you mean I've been pining away for nothing?
She was put in a deep hypnotic sleep.
Pining away.
But why? Why, Doc? Who done it?
It was done so that she would obey certain orders that were transmitted to her.
If that's true, then why did you declare her dead?
Transmitted
I had my own good reasons.
Would you give me one reason why you
What
like
a
to go around and
sinister
get hit on the
word.
head? That must become a little monotonous.
Mr. Lee, are you sure that you saw what you thought you saw?
Well, I'm not blind. I might be getting a little dizzy in this madhouse.
That same shot. It's that same shot. Over and over and over again.
Throughout the whole movie.
You know, Doctor, morning isn't very far off. And when the police get here, you've got an awful lot of explaining to do. You're in this up to your neck.
By morning, let
You
us hope
got
no
some
explanations will be necessary.
splaining to do.
Everything will have explained itself.
Poor little sleeping beauty. Do you suppose someone thought she looked weak-minded and picked her out to carry out his commands?
That's not always the case, Raymond. If Leah and I were here, we could settle this case very quickly. Gentlemen?
Well, speak of the devil.
There's my cue.
It is my peculiar misfortune to always be in a position where I may eavesdrop. How can I be of service, Cousin Joseph?
Oh, Professor.
Ask me no questions, my friend, and I will tell you no lies.
Leonard, you could undo certain mischief that has been done this girl. I know you can help if you will.
I could, my dear Joseph. But I will not bring down the wrath of the
Bela
unknown
Lugosi's
man
just got
and
like a
presumes
light on
about
his
these
face, or is he that much paler than everybody
matter of
else?
self-preservation.
I think he's got a
Nothing to
spotlight.
do with
quickly as you describe. I have an idea that you may have already carried out the unknown's orders and that he no longer needs it. Nevertheless, my dear Joseph, you must excuse me.
Just a minute, Professor.
Yeah,
I
he
wonder what
stepped
would
into
happen,
his life.
Professor, if in connection with your sudden reappearance here, somebody dug up the old story of why you swindled Dr. Van E and then ran off and let him take the rap.
I will not be blackmailed, Mr. Lee. And I observe again that you're a young man who knows too much for his own good. And I would also like to know where you obtained all this information. You're extremely young to have your fingertips on events of 20 years ago.
I have a memory like an elephant. I never forget something once I hear it. I'm a sharpie, Professor. As every one of you will admit before morning. Now, Doctor, I'd like to bore you with a few questions.
I wouldn't mind, young man, if you had the slightest idea of what you were looking for.
Maybe if we start back to the time around midnight, when you administered what you call a sedative to your daughter-in-law.
Are you inferring that I had anything to do with Laura's disappearance?
Why do you keep evading the issue, Doctor? You know you'll have to confess when the police get here anyway.
I would remind you, young man, that you're making a direct accusation, and I refuse to answer.
Look, I want the facts and I want them now. Let's cut out the mulberry bush routine. Listen, Bill, you're supposed to be a cop and you want to get back to homicide. Help me make the doctor listen up. He knows a lot more than he's telling.
What?
Sure, I'll help, Terry.
Yeah, I don't know what the
First, let's get
mulberry
Lily
bush
Beth out of
routine
this.
is.
Maybe she can tell us something.
Yes,
All I
Mr.
know
Lee,
is the
it seems to
Dr.
me that you're not too
story,
anxious to have
but
Lily
to
Beth
think that I
restored
saw
to
it on
consciousness.
Mulberry Street. That's the only mulberry that I know about.
What do you hear, Doc?
Her heart's in a very depressed condition. Someone's been giving her orders by mental telepathy.
Hey, could I learn to do that?
Cut to shot of
Supposing
Lugosi.
Lily Beth was in the kitchen. Could I telegraph her a wish for a cup of coffee? Huh?
Perhaps, Raymond, someday when we have a little time, I'll indicate the principles of hypnosis to him.
Oh, he would have loved DoorDash.
The principle of hypnosis isn't as simple as you would make them believe. It requires a long and patient study. But I will risk the rest of the unknown. For I see you truly love this child. And for your sake, I shall use my knowledge.
Oh, gee, thanks, Professor. You're solid.
You're solid.
God, geez, thanks, dude.
Oh, God. You're the best.
Wake up. Wake up.
Lily Beth, darling.
A master
Keep your
hypnotist.
big hands to yourself. What are you stabbing me for?
Professor, put her back to sleep. It's better that way.
What have you been doing to me?
Me? What have I been doing?
Yes, what have you been doing?
You gotta learn me that hypnotism trick. It's my only chance.
Tell me, Lily Beth, what happened?
Well, I can't seem to remember it. It all seems like a dream.
Did you see anyone?
No. But I do remember a perfume, a sweet odor.
Yes, go on.
Terry, darling. Oh, Terry, darling.
Yes, Jane. What is it?
Is it Halloween?
No, it isn't.
Then why was that green face bobbing up at the window?
What?
Yeah, a green face just like the one I saw in Miss Van E's room.
You saw a green face in Mrs. Van E's room?
Yes, darling, that's what she was shooting at. I mentioned it to you, but you're so scatterbrained.
Yes, dear, I'm scatterbrained. Does your mind feel rested now and everything after your nap?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good girl. Now, come on, tell me, what happened?
Oh, don't yell at me. I can tell you just how it happened. We were alone in the room, and Laura was going to sleep. And then she said, "Oh, take away the bandage." And I said, "What bandage?" And then she said, "Oh, don't shoot me. I didn't mean to do it." And then the room got awfully black. I think somebody must have turned off the lights. Just like that.
Go ahead, you're doing fine.
Well...
Yeah, the lights had already gone out.
And the room got awfully dark.
You've already said that. Think hard now. You saw a green mask.
It came out of the wardrobe.
Like a moth?
Yes, darling, just like a moth. Oh, how clever of you. It was just like a great big moth, and it flew around and
Please
around.
don't make yourself any dizzier than you are. Now tell me the rest of it.
She's getting manic over here.
It was like a great big moth. And did you see it? Was you there hiding in the wardrobe, maybe?
No. I wasn't in the wardrobe.
Now, burst a blood vessel.
Please,
Yes.
be yourself. No, I mean, don't be yourself. Just relax. Relax.
Mr. Lee, just a moment. Where were you? Were you upstairs?
No, I was down here talking with your son. And by the way, where is he?
Here I am, Mr. Lee.
Right on cue.
Here I am.
Stop it.
Yes, I was listening outside the door.
Take it easy, see?
You haven't answered my father's question yet.
Dang.
Come on, take it easy, take it easy. Maybe
You
can
call
tell
it
us where
fresh.
you've been, Mr. Vanny.
Take it easy.
Of course, you don't know anything about your wife's whereabouts.
Oh, go on, tell him where she is. I want to go home. I'm hungry.
Quiet, everybody, quiet! Laura!
Don't. No, don't. Don't.
Laura! She's under a hypnotic spell.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been an exciting night, and you all are deserving of some explanation and relaxation for the strange goings-on.
The guy who's doing the talking is behind the wall somewheres.
Now you're getting smart, Sherlock.
We introduce at this time the team of Lorette and Renee, as they appeared at the height of their success, in the green room of the Paris Creole.
Sure, the mask, the picture.
Mademoiselle Lorette.
Now I know who he is.
Mademoiselle Lorette will now put a bandage over her eyes, the better to see the inner truth.
Very good, Renee. Very good. Just like the old time.
Would any member of the audience like to ask Mademoiselle a question? From Mr. Lee, you have been so full of questions up to now.
I'm thinking, brother.
We cannot keep Mademoiselle too long in this delicate mental balance. She has been under a great strain lately. Then I will ask the questions myself.
Yes, Rennie, I'm at your command.
Are you afraid now?
No, I'm quite safe.
Will you tell the truth?
Yes. They came to me and said your partner, he of the magic feats and rare impersonations, is a spy. But we can't prove it. We will give you 1,000,000 francs if you, Lorette, bring us that proof.
How we shall know.
You gave them the
I
proof
want
they
1,000,000
wanted.
hot dogs
Yes.
brought to me.
They took him away
Post
to be
haste.
killed.
Yes.
What was he to you, this man you betrayed? This man you sold to the enemy for money?
He was my husband.
When they told you he was to be executed, you sent this man a gift for his last moment before the firing squad. What was it?
It was a green scarf for his eyes.
Like the one you're wearing now?
Yes.
Why did you send it?
It was my scarf. I wanted him to know I had betrayed him because I hated him. He was good and kind, but I hated him for the power he had over me.
I see. That is your only defense. You hated. You thought they shot him. You escaped to America. You thought you were safe. Then you found out he was alive and wanted revenge. Thank you, Mademoiselle Lorette. You may remove the bandage now. What do you see on the cloth, Mademoiselle?
There's a hole in it.
Yes. What else, Lorette? What else?
There's blood on it. There's blood.
I have come back. I am here. And I will have my revenge.
No! No, don't touch me!
Outside, under the window, you know where.
Yes, he had his revenge.
She was
the living immortal terror that he tried.
Just wait, Evan. Just wait. Easy now.
Just a minute, lady. You ain't going nowheres. Well, if it ain't Mrs. Williams, come along with me. Come on. You want me to slug you? Get inside. Hey, Terry, come here. Get a load of this. There's your man. At last I caught me a murderer.
You're wrong. I never laid a hand on her.
Nay, my boy, you kept your promise to me. You said you wouldn't touch her.
But she's dead, ain't she? And you ain't going nowhere till we find out what killed her. And you, Professor, you know too much for your own good. I'm holding you, too.
Now you're getting smart, Bill. Well, Professor, I see you two know each other.
Yes. Rene was my assistant. I taught him everything he knows. He went out for himself and became a success. Later, we met in a concentration camp. And here we are. A small world, Mr. Lee. A small world, indeed.
World War II.
Yep, that's something. Yep, World War II. Crazy times.
You say the cutest things. The mark. Oh.
Never mind. You just stay right
I like
here.
that black sombrero.
Well, Doctor, got anything to add to my story of the year?
Who's this Rene?
Rene was her husband. She turned him over for a sum. Figured the Nazis would take care of him, but he had ideas of his own.
Look, Doc, was it murder? Do I finally get a break? Was she murdered?
We're sending the report to the police.
What does it say?
Ah, come on, Doctor, don't hold out on us.
I didn't understand it at first, but I do now. There were no marks of violence on the body, and we found no internal disturbances.
What does this all add up to, Doctor?
Yes, let's have it.
She was literally scared to death.
And that was Scared to Death.
So that did not go the direction I was expecting.
What were you expecting? I would love to know.
I mean, I really don't. I didn't know. I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
I didn't expect it to. I didn't. She's a spy. Was that what it was? She was a turncoat.
Basically, so you remember seeing that postcard with Renee and Lorette, and it was the two people with masks on, and Lugosi was looking at it. So it was this husband and wife team, and the husband's a magician, and he would hypnotize his wife, and they would do, stage tricks. Well, yeah, she didn't like that her husband had that hypnosis power over her, so she turned him over to the Nazis, so she could basically, leave him and move away, so she could just have her hands clean of him. And he survived. He wasn't killed. He was in a concentration camp and got out and decided that he was going to get his revenge on his ex-wife, who's now married this new guy and is living with him and his father in this house. And so that doesn't really, I don't know if that addresses your question.
I mean, it just, so it feels like we spend the whole movie learning about our suspects,
right?
And then it's just like a completely different guy.
Yeah, that was that has never.
Yeah, it's a random guy that we haven't met.
Right, and that was the thing that has never bothered me, but I know has to bother other people. But that's where it almost seems like a kind of a Scooby-Doo thing, or like kind of more of a, like, not necessarily Scooby-Doo, but I know there's been things where it's people get mad because it's like, oh, well, we never would have guessed it was that person who was in the movie for one scene for 30 seconds at the very beginning. Like, how could we have guessed that that person had anything to do with it? They weren't, like, everybody else was just a red herring, right?
It's the person we would have least suspected.
The person that the movie spent no time
We had
on.
no reason to suspect them.
There's no way we could have known it was this person because we never met them.
Right. It is absolutely a thing that frustrates most people in most movies when something like that happens. Like, people get pissed.
Yeah, sometimes a twist can be too big.
Right. And you know, I've never even thought of this as a twist necessarily, because I just always felt like, okay, well, the clues are there for me. They must be there, right? Like, I've always tried to make sense of this movie. And I think especially tonight, I noticed, like, I think that with all these shots that you get of the mask at the window, that's them trying to keep this idea of there's somebody else here, there's somebody else there, like, and we're supposed to think that it's one of the people in the house. Of course, we would never guess that it's Mrs. Williams, aka Renee, her dead husband, which, interesting fact, the guy who was playing Renee was the son of the guy who was the president of the Cinecolor company. So I don't know if there was some nepotism going on there in that casting, but it did crack me up that, like, he just had this very small role, and he was only in a handful of movies, but this is one of them. And I guess it's benefits being the son of the president of Cinecolor, the Cinecolor company. But yeah, I mean, it makes no sense. At the end of the day, there's so many plot holes and illogical choices, and at the same time, I just love that movie. I do not expect you guys to love it. I'm sure you hated it, and that is totally fine. That is what this show is about. Like, I want you to tell me that you hated it if you hated it, you know? Like,
I wouldn't say I hated it. I think I would need to watch it again just to, like, absorb. Like, it's just, there's a lot there.
It is a lot. But
it feels like the way this is written is like if you go into an escape room and then they weld the door closed. And they're like, haha, I bet you can't get out of this. It's like, yeah, of course I can't.
Let's see you figure this one out.
Like, yeah, there's a lot of clues in here, but they don't help me.
Yeah.
A plus B equals yellow. And that's the way it goes. No, sorry. I should say more appropriately, A plus B does not equal green. That's what I should say.
Does not equal green.
Does not equal green. But yeah, no, I mean, it like, and it is like probably not one of those movies. This will probably be the only time you guys watch this movie. If it compelled you to watch this movie again, I would be like, then I would know this movie has some kind of secret curse, hypnotism powers, something going on. But I wouldn't expect you guys to watch this again. But something about me seeing this movie at the age of 7 years old, I just haven't been able to... Fascinated me. Haven't been able to get it out of my head. And I guess I always wanted to make sense out of a thing that ultimately makes no sense, you know? That's the part of... I love the absurdity of life. What can I say? But yeah, I mean... I've been waiting to show this movie, so I'm happy to show it with you guys, and it was, you know, certainly not Bela Lugosi at his most prominent, but
not a bad performance though.
No, you can tell he's having fun, right? Like, he's definitely enjoying himself. And that's what these season finales are all about. Getting to see Lugosi in some way in his element, you know, just kind of scaring people or being eerie, as the press book, you know, the word that the press book used over and over and over again. Eerie. And yeah, I mean, that's ultimately what our season finales are all about. Getting us some Lugosi being Lugosi. So, and that's the only color starring role that we get from Lugosi. So if you can't appreciate it for anything else, at least appreciate it for that.
Yeah, we can appreciate it for Lugosi.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Lugosi's always good, right? He's always giving it his all, unlike Karloff. who phones it in. No, I'm not trying to create a thing, but
Start some beef.
Shots fired.
that's what the book, I feel like the Poverty Row Horrors book kind of implies. Like, yeah, that's what it says, is like, well, after a certain point, Karloff was phoning it in. But it's like, well, you know, Lugosi's just always giving it 110%. He's always putting a little mustard on it, you know?
Yeah, well, Lugosi is working so hard. He was in movies even after he died.
Exactly. And you know, so was Angelo Rosito, the dwarf who disappeared after a certain, I don't know if you guys, I didn't register it until I read it in an article today that his character just disappears from the movie after a certain point and
Yeah, I guess I didn't really notice.
doesn't factor back in any way.
Yeah, he wasn't there for the end.
No, he wasn't. But Angelo Rosito's most recent credit was 2018 for The Other Side of the Wind, which was the Orson Welles movie that got started in the 70s and then languished in post-production hell until 2018 when Netflix.
Post-production since then?
Yeah.
Wow.
Orson Welles shot 100 hours of footage and then was cutting it together from 1976 until he died in the mid 80s. Didn't finish it. He sold, like, part of the investors were like from some Middle Eastern country that all of a sudden there were all these complications with them getting the film, and it just sat in vaults for decades. And then Netflix came along and said, hey, that Orson Welles movie that's probably never going to come out, let's put it out. And they got it done. Wow. And I actually really enjoy it. And I think it's a pretty good movie. But Angelo Rosito is in that as just a dwarf that a film director has hired to run around his party and set off fireworks. The movie is very ridiculous.
Is he deaf and dumb in that one too?
No, he's just laughing the whole time. He's just like walking upstairs with another little person carrying a box of fireworks, laughing like, you know, it's really great. And that was another movie where I didn't know he was in it, and then I saw him and I'm like, it's Angelo Rosito. Oh, that's great. So 2018, still going. And yeah, you gotta love these actors who still get credits after their death. But that was Scared to Death. And I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it was certainly mine. And I will be watching that movie until the day I die.
Until you're scared to death.
Until I'm scared to death. It'll probably be the movie I'm watching when I'm scared to death. If the world is just and right, then that is how it will end for me. But this is how it ends for season 4. So I hope I just have to say I really appreciate Evan and Fresh, you guys being here week in, week out, because we're basically a year in at this point with the stream. And I can't say enough how much I appreciate being able to share these movies with you guys, the good and the bad. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. We enjoy them either way. We make the most of them, and I appreciate that you guys humor me with movies like tonight's movie and The Gorilla and some of these other ridiculous ones. We do. That's the thing. We have fun. Regardless of the right. I mean, regardless of the quality, we're always having a good time. So
even when they're silent, it's a blast.
Even when they're silent, yeah.
Even when they're silent, and it's a German.
German expressionism.
Expressionism film.
Yeah, we love
it's fine.
this.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. It's great. It's content. It's content.
Do we have any more of those on the horizon?
Oh, for sure. We could. Not only German express, we just have so many silent movies to get through. The next one will probably. Well, no, I won't. That's a lie. I will.
Make any promises?
No, I'm not going to make any promises because we still got to figure out. I still got to figure out the schedule for the next couple seasons. I don't even know what's going to premiere season 5, but be on the lookout for that. We're gonna be taking the next couple weeks off. We will be back for the main stream on March the 3rd, we will have, I think our mini-sodes will start March 1st, that Wednesday. So that first week of March is when season 5 will be gearing up. We will be a year into the stream. So we're going to be firing on all cylinders. We're going to be getting after it. We're going to be having a great time. Cannot wait. I mean, we still haven't even gotten half of the good stuff yet. Haven't gotten Night of the Living Dead. Haven't gotten House on Haunted Hill. Haven't gotten the Ed Wood movies. Trust me, we have so much.
Saving the actual good movies for.
Well, I'll say, sure. If that's what you guys want to tell yourselves, I'm just saying, keep that thought in your head till the very last episode of this stream, and you will be dissatisfied by that point. But you know, just like a lot of these movies and the conclusions, you will be very dissatisfied. But yeah, so we'll be off for a couple weeks, but we may be on the lookout on our social media pages, which you can find us at Scream Stream Show, because we may do some one-off things during the break, a little thing I like to call the Wheel of Movies may spin into action. We may be breaking out the wheel. We'll see. But we'll at least for the Scream stream, we'll have 2 weeks. 3. I don't know. March 3rd, we'll be back. So thank you guys so much who've been watching this season, all of our seasons, whether it's Twitch or you've been watching our episodes on YouTube. Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it. It has been a great first year, and we can't wait to get into the next year and the next year and the next year, because public domain is forever. Anything, I mean, again, all the socials at Scream Stream Show, Fresh Rogan at Fresh Rogan everywhere. Don't look for Evan. I'm at Spakenstein. Anything before we sign off tonight for season 4, for the end of our first year?
I'll just say,
got nothing.
Bela Lugosi, you next time.
Oh, hey. That's great. Until next time, sweet screams, everybody.
Creep sight.
And to all, a good fright.